Thank you for your brilliant support during the group stages. One more hurdle to cross for Jack Taylor's side. Qualification for the quarterfinal already secured. Can we get a home quarterfinal? We'll find out very shortly indeed. But first, let's introduce today's Guard of Honour, young Gloucestershire supporters. Give them a warm round of applause, showing some cracking dance moves, waving their flags. That's right. Warm welcome, guys. Thanks for your
Rob Scanlon orchestrating the pre-match formalities here at the Seat Unique Stadium. Welcome if you're just joining us on the stream for the men's match this afternoon. Gloucestershire against Glamorgan in the Vitality Blast, the last of the group games. All 18 teams playing today. Gloucestershire, of course, in the central group and already assured of a place in the last 8. But there's a lot of maths involved in whether they get a home game or an away game on Wednesday. Delighted to have Blake Bint with us this afternoon. He's watched a lot of Glamorgan in this competition and sharing the commentary with us. And we should say too, of course, that at the moment the Gloucestershire women are playing at Cardiff against Kent in their T20 semi-final, and it looks as if they're going to be heading into the final as well. They've got 159 for 5. Amelie Monday made 71, Meg Ahern 39 not out, and Kent in reply are 66 for 7 after 14 overs. So Gloucestershire looking very well placed to make it. A Gloucestershire Glamorgan double header today. The women's final would start at 4 o'clock, and that will also be available on the stream. So if you are at home and you've got the facility, you can have the two matches at the same time. So let's welcome Blake first of all. The news at the toss is that Glamorgan have won the toss and are going to bat. They've kept the same side from their last game, which as Edgbaston. Sum up their campaign for us and also give us the Glamorgan 11.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ian. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I think for Glamorgan, firstly, them winning the toss and batting is a surprise to me. They generally like to see what they're going after, and then Kieran Carlson looks to do as much damage as he can at the top on his own to leave a slightly easier job for the middle order. I think their campaign, they'll be disappointed because they've just not been able to string wins together in consecutive proportions, which is where they've ultimately lost out and are now playing for nothing today. Their team for today is unchanged from their defeat on Friday at Warwickshire, which is Kieran Carlson, the captain, leading. He will likely open the batting with Will Smale, as it has been throughout the whole competition. Ben Kellaway, the ambidextrous all-rounder, although we haven't seen him bowl left arm yet this year. Maybe he'll bring it out today in this game of no importance for them. Asa Tribe, the Jersey international and England Lion. Sean Dixon, who's made the move from Somerset. Chris Cook, the veteran keeper. Jimmy Neesham, the New Zealander all-rounder. Dan Douthwaite. Nathan McAndrew, the other overseas player, Australian fast bowler. Mason Crane and Andy Gorvin, who was a new addition to that side on Friday, and he's kept his place today.
Well, Gloucestershire, of course, had that extraordinary match up at Worcester where Kashif Ali looked to have taken the game away for them in the last 3 overs of the Worcestershire innings, only for Cameron Darrowell to obliterate the Worcestershire bowling with his innings. The fastest ever blast, 13 balls. He equalled that. The other two batters to have done that, Anaran Donald and Marcus Trescothick. So perhaps unsurprisingly, it's the same team for Gloucestershire. Darcy Short, David Milan, Miles Hammond, Liam Scott, Jack Taylor, Cameron Darrowell, James Bracey, Graham Van Buren, Matt Taylor, Marshall Belonga, and the not lonely James Hayes. So just to remind you, Glamorgan have won the toss and are going to bat. Our umpires today are Nigel Long and Ben Peverell. And it is worth bearing in mind for Gloucestershire supporters in particular, the simplest way we can explain the maths of today is if Gloucestershire can win, The only result they need to worry about in terms of having a home quarter-final is the game between Sussex and Hampshire, which starts at 3:30. And Hampshire would need to make up the difference in the net run rate between the two teams in one game, which is not that easy to do, because obviously you've got 11 games already played and you've got to make up that difference in one match. It generally means that side would want to bat second, and they then will have to work out a significant reduction in the number of overs they'd need to win the game in. We'll leave it at that for the moment, because Gloucestershire have to win first. They're fielding first, and I say with Glamorgan, it's going to be Carlson and Smale to open. And for Gloucestershire, Matt Taylor is going to bowl the first over from the Ashley Down Road end. It is, as I'm sure it is wherever you are watching on the stream, a glorious day, cloudless blue sky, just as hot actually as it has been over the last few days. And Glamorgan, a lot of very similar scores in this competition so far, but they've largely done those scores batting second. This is only the fourth game in which they have batted first, and backs up Blake's point about Kieran Carlson liking to chase. But today he was pretty happy. He said it's a good pitch. It's the international pitch they used on Thursday. And here's Matt Taylor to bowl the first ball from the Ashley Down Road end, and Carlson bunts it straight to short extra. Two men out at this stage, or at deep backward square at long leg. Matt Taylor missed a clutch of games in the middle of the competition because of injury, but back fit again for the conclusion. Carlson on strike, works that onto the leg side, and he'll get away with a single. I mean, looking at some of the averages ahead of this game, and of course you have to bear in mind that Glamorgan in the Championship are batting against First Division attacks, so it's First Division runs, and obviously the wickets are being taken against good, strong batting sides as well.
What makes it nice as well is it means that Glamorgan get to play Gloucestershire again in this competition, even with the restructure of the central group now. Yeah,
back to how it was in the early stages. Smale to face his first ball. It's a little dab down to James Hayes at short third. No run. Smale's sister, Sophia, from memory, was here in the Western Storm setup for a while. I take it Chris Cook will keep wicket today.
He will, yes.
Yeah, because obviously Smale can. But I don't think Chris at 40 fancies running around the outfield too much in this format. Smale again gets that neatly off his pads up towards mid-on, and they'll just take one.
Yeah, if there's one thing Glamorgan aren't short in, it is wicket keepers. Not today, there is just Cook and Smale, but on the roster, if you will, there's Henry Hurl as well, who...
Well, he was in the squad for Friday, I think.
Yeah, and there's also Alex Horton. So there has been times all four of them have played together, and then a decision would have to have been made. But, it is Chris Cook.
Field change. Finex come up inside the circle. Turn to Carlson. Whips that away to deep mid-wicket. That's where the field changes. Darcy Short's out there in front of the empty stand, the temporary stand that was constructed for the international. Not in use today. But not a bad crowd in around the rest of the ground. Perhaps some really aware that this has become a bit of a shootout game for Gloucestershire in terms of a home quarter-final. Taylor in again, Smale again off just about middle stump, works that away. Darrowell, they've got a good arm, and they'll come back for two, and that's a long boundary out there. So a tidy enough first over, but Glamorgan 5 without loss, having won the toss and elected to bat. Now, Blake's going to take the overs from this Bristol Pavilion end, and that's the tall figure of Liam Scott we're going to see opening up. Interesting to hear him talk about what happens after the group stages, and the distinct impression I got from his interview with Rob on the ground earlier was that he's not going home yet, so he could be around for another week.
Well, that'll be helpful, wouldn't it? To have someone who's obviously a bit of an X factor, making a name for himself both here and in Australia. I'm sure there's franchise gigs ahead of him as well. And it's just interesting, isn't it, that with the knockout games on Wednesday, as he's running away from us from the pavilion, Bristol Pavilion end. Carlson drives through the covers, and there's work to do out there, which is done well by, it's Darrowell out there, isn't it? And throws in for Carlson, come back for a couple. It is interesting that with the games on Wednesdays, it's a relatively quick turnaround to not know who your opponent's going to be. You know when you're playing, but in terms of analysis and things like that.
And I think also all the clubs will probably say, we've only got 2 days to sell this game commercially. Well, you know, not an easy sell in such a short time.
Down the wicket comes Carlson, and straight back over his head. One bounce for 4 as it just crashes into the advertisement hoardings beneath us. And there's the first boundary of the innings.
And Carlson, like all professional cricketers on the circuit in England, know that the short boundaries at Bristol are the straight ones.
It's similar to Cardiff, really.
Yeah,
short, straight, and a bit bigger square. So Scott's coming back from that boundary ball as Carlson almost swings himself off his feet this time. And there's no run. He has struck well in this competition so far. He's really been the epicenter of Glamorgan's runs. I mean, over 300 runs, striking at 200 nearly as well. He's been impressive, and generally it's when he gets going is when Glamorgan are in the best seat to win games.
Bit of a chat from Scott here with his captain here. They're going to push Hammond back out to long off, and Darrowell's coming inside the circle at a squarish cover.
Working off his hip is Carlson. Takes a single with short fine doing the work. It's interesting that field though, when you've got long off and deep square, it's almost you're setting one field to multiple different deliveries. It's almost as if there's no set plan. It's just keep him guessing almost.
Conscious that Carlson had gone straight down the ground already. Hammond is probably Gloucestershire's safest catcher in the deep.
Well, he's back in for Smale, and that cover goes back out. Smale takes a quick single up to mid-on. It's well run, fielded by captain Jack Taylor. That's Glamorgan at 13 without loss.
Gloucestershire used 7 different bowlers up at Worcester on Friday. Jack Taylor loves to have that flexibility in the squad. The days of going in with only 5 bowlers are long gone.
Scott then, and Carlson making room for himself. Can't find any bats, so a dot to finish. 13 without loss after 2 overs from Matt Taylor and Liam Scott.
I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 1 over of spin in the power play. Sometimes Gloucestershire try and, as we say, burgle an over somewhere, but Matt Taylor's going to continue. Scott only bowled 2 overs on Friday. That's a bit surprising, only bowled 2 overs actually. But as I say, this pitch clearly played very well in the international. England scored quickly on it. Not that India perhaps totally excelled themselves with the ball. But it's right, it's very central, so there's no short boundary. That's a good clip, and it could go over Darrowell's head, and it's gone for 6. It's a good shot. It's a long boundary out there. He's right on the rope, and Will Smale has picked that up. And there's, even with a tall man like Darrowell right on the edge of the playing area, he wasn't going to catch that, and it's dropped into the temporary seats. First maximum of the innings. There's a clean pickup.
It was, and it shows, as you said, it's a good pitch, as pitches all over the country are, I think, at the moment. Very dry, you can just trust the bounce. And Will Smale did there, trusted the length, trusted his hands, and got it away nicely.
As they're having a break in play, maybe a change of ball, I've just been brought to an attention that Brendan McCullum has been sacked as England's head coach of the England Test team. So sacked as coach of the England Test team, announced literally within the last few minutes. So I did have a conversation with someone the other day actually about, whether it's possible that McCullum might be asked to do the white ball job and they might get someone else to do the test side of it. And I'm not saying that I have any, there's no inside track. That was purely in cricket enthusiasts talking cricket. But ultimately that's seems to be what's happened. And one or two very prominent writers seemed convinced that Rob Key's job was probably the next one to go. It could be that we could have Stokes, Key and McCullum all going. Goodness me. Here at Bristol, 19 without loss in the third over. Glamorgan and Smale, having just cleared the rope with a good pickup, does the professional thing that all batters talk about, take a single off the next ball.
I would almost say it would be unusual if Rob Key were to stay with McCullum leaving and Stokes just a couple of weeks ago as well. I mean, McCullum is staying for the white ball, it seems, at the moment, because they are doing relatively well in that, as this latest T20 series has shown.
Taylor to Carlson then. Morgan captain, can't pierce the field there. Goes straight to the big figure of Marchant de Longa, who's... Oh, that's Milan, in fact, in there. I thought that was... Where's de Longa? He's at square leg.
Matt Taylor as well, already in the power play, just rolling his fingers down that one, so using changes of pace early on.
Taylor running towards us in the pavilion. And Carlson goes straight to mid-off. It's a good stop. Hammond is up there. And they'll get one, but that's all. There was a period in the Gloucestershire-Worcestershire match on Friday where the Worcestershire fielders appeared to be stopping anything that was going at any kind of rate towards the boundary. And then Darawal decided that, actually, I'm going to take the fielders out of this. And he just started literally clearing the rope. Oh, it's very fine. Just on poor line from Matt Taylor, and Smale has helped himself to another boundary. Very fine down towards fine leg, but almost just a guide. It didn't need to do anything fancy with that at all, and Taylor would be pretty angry at delivering a ball that was almost a gimme for a boundary. So 25 for no wicket. Glamorgan haven't really taken any risks yet, and they're up at 8 and over. Again, that's leg side and given us a wide.
You can see why he's trying to bowl straight. He's got the two men at deep backward square and deep mid wicket, so he doesn't want to allow Smale a chance to free his arms outside off stump. So that's why he's obviously just trying to keep it tight to Smale's pads, and he's just over adjusted on 2 consecutive occasions there.
It's a single anywhere he wants it, almost on the leg side. Smale, but he goes, in fact, has gone through Jack Taylor. I would say that should have been just 1 to Taylor. It's gone all the way to the boundary for 4. He'll put his hand up for that. The skipper didn't help his brother there. Came in towards it, went down with 2 hands, and it slipped through. And because A, the outfield is so fast, and B, that's the shorter boundary, it's raced away. And it's a profitable over for Glamorgan. They've taken 17 off it, and it's 30 for no wicket off 3.
I'm sure brotherly love will mean there's no words between them. Change bowling at this Bristol pavilion, and Marchant de Longa is going to come into the attack against his former side, of course. Used to play for Glamorgan, running away from us from the Bristol pavilion and whipped by Carlson out to deep squares, just 1. De Longa the quickest in his Gloucestershire attack, you'd say?
If he's really, really on it, probably yes. And obviously he signed a T20 only deal during last winter, and everybody felt that would give him the best chance of, keeping the body together, because
he has had some issues.
He has, and he's played every game.
Short and just turned by Smale. One hand off the bat out to deep square. They're persisting with this deep square, deep mid wicket to Smale, and then to Carlson. There's a deep backward point and a deep square. So De Lange probably won't be pitching anything up too much here to Kieran Carlson, who's not the tallest in stature. I think official books say he's 5'11", but I think he's probably more like 5'8". Glamorgan captain, and there's short and cut. Doesn't pierce the offside, and he's going to get one despite a good athletic effort run out attempt by Liam Scott. Glamorgan 33 without loss.
I think you'd have to say about Marchand is that he got to a point where in the longer formats he seemed to be breaking down injury-wise. So let's make it that he's only got to bowl 4 overs, and he probably isn't going to bowl 4 overs consecutively. So, if he thinks that's the best way of extending his career, then fair play to him.
Pulled by Smale. It's not going to carry, just on the one bounce to deep mid-wicket, where Van Buren throws in. So De Lange still keeping his options as short, and that's about as far as it stretches.
It's going in the batsman's half, but not by very far.
Precisely.
But steady start from Glamorgan here.
All up on the offside now to Carlson, so the same field as he did have to Smale. And look to turn around the corner. Carlson doesn't time it, but he's going to take a single to short fine leg. He likes that shot. He plays it so often when it's just on his hip. It's almost like he doesn't actually want the ball there. He's almost just trying to get it off him. But he generally times that really well, and you often see it fly down to fine leg, regardless of what format of cricket he plays in. It's just an instinctual shot, I think. He turns away from us again. 5 singles then into the final ball. Smale makes room for himself and pierces the offside. Well, that's the risk you take bowling Fuller, and with everyone up on the offside, and a boundary does go with the 5 singles. So De Lange's first over complete. There's the replay from Smale's boundary, and the score's 39 without loss after 4 overs in this match.
Should just update you that Gloucestershire women almost home and dry in terms of getting into the final against Glamorgan. Kent are 83 for 8 with 2 overs left, and their target is 160. So I think even by my maths, that would suggest they're going to be okay. Scott into the attack. Could be 6, or it will be 6 of the first. First ball. It's James Hayes, in fact, a ball from the far end, and his first ball has been deposited by Carlson away over deep mid wicket. It was in the slot, went a long way up, and Hammond looking to see if it was going to drop his side of the rope. It didn't. Carlson under 19. That's 6 more.
That's precisely the shot I was referring to the previous over.
Yeah, those two have both been length balls, pretty straight, but Carlson's good enough bat that he can whip those away. That's gone 5 rows back into the temporary stand. And his response to Rob Scanlon's question at the toss was, why have you decided to bat first? He said, it looks a good pitch. We'll go and see what we can get. And at the moment, they are racing along. Ben Kellaway due in next, then Asa Tribe, Dixon at 5. It's a strong top order, and cut away by Carlson out to Graham Van Buren. That deep backward point, that's not the tidiest throw, and good job that Darrowell was backing up. The one thing about Hayes, he's on loan from Notts for this competition, but tend to be a little bit hot and cold with his bowling. Some overs have been really good and effective, and some have been quite loose. And he started with a loose one here at the moment. One more to Smale.
He's just not been allowed to settle, has he?
No.
I mean, I thought it was really interesting. I mean, obviously, Carlson will know everyone he's played against, naturally. I can't recall him ever, or a situation where he would have played against James Hayes. So to go from ball one, picking up a length ball like that and just deciding, well, I'm going after this guy.
Straight approach. And that's slashed that, going down towards the boundary at the third man. That's 4 more. So there have been a couple of big overs in the power play here for Glamorgan. Matt Taylor had one that cost 17. And this is another one. 2 sixes and a 4 already, and we're not through it. I think what Glamorgan's highest score is so far. They've won the Somerset chasing 203. Slashed, and 4 more. Hayes trying to induce the drive from Carlson. Marshall DeLong is inside the circle, but it was going very quickly. It had to be much closer to him to give him any sort of chance. 22 off Hayes' over, and Glamorgan off to a dangerously fast start here from a Gloucestershire point of view. And here is the 1 over of spin in the power play, but Van Buren would ideally not like to come in with 2 batters, both having apparently got their eyes well in at the moment.
Yeah, and as I said at the start, it's generally Carlson who dictates whether Glamorgan are going to be in their matches or not. So Van Buren left arm around to Smale, who drives back to him for no run. It is generally, yeah, if Carlson can get them off to a quick start, then Glamorgan are going to look at 200. If he doesn't, then, well, the tide will turn. And Smale makes room for himself and then swings leg side. A lot of work to do out there, and it's not going to be caught. 4 runs, bit short and down the leg side from Van Buren, and got what it deserved on that occasion.
That was a drag down, and Darcy Short, even at full tilt, wasn't going to stop that.
Sometimes power plays do just go this way, don't they? I mean, there has been a share of luck as well from Glamorgan. Gloucestershire will just hope to get out of this. If they can take one with them here. Smale looks to go straight, but doesn't time it and gets a single in the ring on the leg side because there's 2 deep fielders out there. So there's plenty of chance for a single. Another wicket fallen in the women's game.
We're in the last over of that semi-final, as you might call it. Give you the outcome of that as soon as it's over.
Oh, Carlson can't quite get that one away. There's a field change to Carlson as well from Van Buren. He's put long off back. Jack Taylor, the captain himself, doing the duties, and he's still got the deep mid-wicket as well. 5 from the first 4 balls from Van Buren. And Carlson again can't get it away. It was in the block hole. Van Buren mixing up his pace well.
Gloucestershire's women have won by 66 runs in the semi-final of their match against Kent.
And Carlson can't pick the gap, so 3 consecutive dots to finish the over. One that started poorly for Van Buren, but he's finished it well. Just 5 from it to conclude the power play. 66 without loss are Glamorgan.
Yep, so Gloucestershire's women into the final of the Tier 2 Women's T20 against Glamorgan at 4 o'clock. That game will be streamed on the Gloucestershire stream. They got 159 for 5 today and restricted Kent to 93 for 9. So congratulations to Fran Wilson and to Liv Daniels and her players. Their game will be streamed at 4 o'clock. So end of the power play. James Hayes off after 1 over. That's not a surprise. And here
For the remaining 14 overs, up to
is
5 fielders are permitted outside the
Liam Scott to change
Turning
ends.
at the Ashley Down Road end, number 6, Liam Scott.
So Carlson and Smale for Glamorgan, and say Callaway Tribe Dixon. Dixon's caused Gloucestershire trouble before in his days at Somerset, and then Neesham, Cook, Douthwaite. They can all bat, but at the moment the openers are doing a pretty fine job. Tucked away by Smale for a single down to Marshall Delanger. Oh, and when you've got a start like this, Blake, you can, you know, if they could just tick along for 4 overs if they want.
Yeah.
No, I think they might necessarily do that here, but they could get to 90 off 10.
I assume the approach will be to continue as they have been, generally is the way Carlson looks to play, but you're right, with the field out, there's no reason why they can't just build the partnership in singles.
Carlson waits, that's outside the off stump, and signals as a wide, but a tight one. And Scott just looking at umpire Nigel Long and saying, "Wow, really?" Yeah, you can see the blue line on your screen. That's the guide for the umpires. Scott clearly thought he was inside that line.
Nigel's been around long enough.
Yeah, he has. Scott from the Ashley Down Road end. Carlson tries to go for the reverse, doesn't. That was a bit of an ugly swat, really. A wild throw from Milan. The jump was being backed up by Darcy Short. Nobody at the stumps at the bowler's end. Milan going for the direct hit, but missing by a long way. Started with a unbeaten 91 here on his debut. Didn't play, of course, in the first part of the tournament because of injury. Scott and Smale pulls that in the leg side, but he's found the fielder out at deep mid wicket. It was Miles Hammond. Then you get one. He didn't time that. Picked that up as well as he clipped Matt Taylor's 6 earlier on.
I was going to say, the worst thing as a fielding side is when you've got overthrows, isn't it? Particularly when things aren't going for you at 70.
Buzzers, apparently. Some
buzzers,
people,
yeah.
I'd never heard that phrase until about 3 years ago. Scott again. Oh, Carlson's gone aerial once more. That's another 6 again. He's gone to the shortest part of the bounce, shortest part of the ground. And Miles Hammond asks the spectator to give him the ball back. It may have just hit one of the pylons right at the bottom there, but it's another sizable hit from Carlson. 40 off 23. And now it's Scott's analysis that's taking a bit of a hammering. Snick and 4 more. The ball is racing to the rope at the moment for Glamorgan. It's a thin edge, but if you go at it hard enough, there's just no way that the fielding side are going to be able to react, especially with 3rd man up. Gloucestershire unable at the moment, other than with Van Buren, to stem this flow. Scott will try again, staying over the wicket. And 1 bounce to Milan at short extra. Scott cuts a bit of a frustrated figure. 80, 14 off that over. 80 for no wicket off 7. I mean, Glamorgan are heading for, well, north of 200 at the moment. Unless Gloucestershire, perhaps with their spinners, can put the brake on. They've got Van Buren, Short and Jack Taylor potentially available, although Taylor has been a bit less than happy with the bowling, his own bowling so far. Short bowled very well at Leeds. It was a bit erratic at Worcester, shall we say, but to me the left arm wrist spinner has to be used because he's such an unusual type of bowler. In fact, that the skipper's going to bring himself on. So Van Buren off after just 1 over, which only cost 5. And Jack Taylor now to bowl himself from this Bristol Pavilion end.
Well, that's what they tend to do in modern T20 cricket now anyway. It's not necessarily how many you go for in an over. They just like chopping and changing it. And in fact, Jack Taylor bowled very well in the reverse fixture at Sophia Gardens, which ended on the last ball. He took 2 for 24 from 4 overs.
Here he is, with one that's just slides on. Smale, unable to get it away. Yes, it is your over, Blake.
Down the leg side and swept, and not going to be cut off by short fine leg, and it's gone away for another boundary again, just missing the line slightly, and Glamorgan batters are pouncing. These two are seeing it nicely, and the Glamorgan total just keeps rising with rapid flow. 37 from just 19 balls is Smale, and he's played second fiddle really, which tells all as he sweeps hard again. And in fact, he's split the gap of the 2 fielders out on the leg side, and he's going to get 4 more. Bobbled into the stand, and Jack Taylor, well, this change hasn't quite worked thus far. 3 balls in, and he's gone for 8, and Van Buren stands long off, thinking this could be him with ball in hand to stem the flow. Cut through the offside, well in front of square, and it's going to be a lot of work to do, and not cut off again from Darawal. So 3 boundaries on the spin, and this Jack Taylor experiment is not working.
No, I say he bowled 1 good over and then 1 expensive over at Worcester, and he started with an expensive one here.
As the leg spinners trade quicker, and work to do for Van Buren this time. Will be hauled in, and just 2. Well, the leg spinner, as you said, it is worth the go because it's generally a wicket-taking action, and it was effective in the reverse fixture, as I said, 2 for 24. Jack Taylor took. Smale just works for 1 after taking 15 from the over, so 95 without loss now. Smale's on 48 and Carlson's on 44.
Well, from this position, it already looks as if Gloucestershire are going to have to bat really well if they're going to chase down whatever Glamorgan are about to set them, because these two, unless they're split, and even if they are, there's quite a bit of break to be applied to get this score back within range. Van Buren is going to come back on, but he'll change ends. And there have been too many boundary balls. That's been the issue. You see the rate, it's almost at 12. So Van Buren from the Ashleydowne Road end tries to fire it down outside the off stump, but that's too wide and is adjudged wide by umpire Long. And with Graham, you know that you get into it quickly. That's overcompensated, and it's been swept, and that's 4 more down in front of the club office. And Glamorgan have their 100 up in the 9th over, and Will Smale goes to 50 off only 24 balls. Carlson won't be far behind him at this rate. And Buren off the back foot, not a aesthetically very pleasing shot, but he'll get a single up to Miles Hammond at long on. And Buren again. Carlson gets round this. I think he might try to play a bit squarer than that, but it's gone up to short at long on for a single. And Morgan just got to keep their heads here because they've got such a good start. Van Buren in, swept by Smale out to Hammond just for a single. Twelve fours and 4 sixes we've had already in the first 8.4 overs. Not many dots, and Van Buren almost takes a very, very difficult court and bowl off Carlson. That was driven really hard, and Carlson just, as you can see, just consoles him there. That was travelling, and in the end it is a single for the Glamorgan skipper, but that would have been quite a catch had Van Buren clung onto it. We'll try again, tries to float it outside the off-stump. Smell can't get it through the infield. So Van Buren concedes 9, and it's 104 for no wicket, but those Gloucestershire bowling figures do not make happy reading at the moment. Taylor 2 overs for 22, Scott 2 overs for 21, Hayes 1 over for 22, Van Buren 2 overs for 14, Jack Taylor 1 over for 15, and De Lange 1 over for 9. No wickets down, and Glamorgan with 100 out of 104 off the bat. They've been absolutely brutal. And here we are, a 7th different bowler indicates Gloucestershire's problems, Blake.
Yeah, Darcy Short, the change this time, left arm unorthodox. So again, just rolling the dice is Jack Taylor, seeing what he can get here. Got a lot of protection leg side. Carlson just works it, and they're going to have to settle for 1 this time, out to Taylor at long on. And Smale's 50. He's 3rd of the competition. He's come good towards the back end of the tournament, really. He had a 50 on Friday evening and a 50 against Warwickshire last week in a win there. This has just all come a bit too late for him, but it's good to see him in the runs. This one's up in the air, could be caught at extra cover. It is well held from Graham Van Buren, and well, it took the 7th bowler to do the job, but the change has worked, and Darcy Short has broken the partnership at 105.
Yeah, a tumbling old effort that, because it was coming over Van Buren's shoulder, and it is Smale who departs, but when you scored 54 off 28 balls, strike rate as near as 200 runs per 100 balls, as makes no odds. He set his team up beautifully, and out to join his captain Ben Callaway, who, if you haven't been really paying attention to the county circuit for the last couple of years, you'll know can bowl in 2 ways, both off breaks and slow left arm, but I suspect we'll only see the off breaks today.
Yeah, it's something he is kept hidden away this year. We've not seen it at all. Normally we wouldn't see it in red ball cricket, but he has utilised it in both the One Day Cup and the T20 Vitality Blast. But this year, no, he's just stuck to his off breaks, which he has been effective with. With the bat, however, he's been slightly underwhelming. He's not been able to get going at all. No half centuries, despite playing in every game, and usually has been good for no more than 20s and the odd 30-40, but he's got less pressure on him today, coming in at 105 for 1. And first ball, reverse sweeps a short one from Darcy Short, and takes a single, which if he just stood there and waited, he probably could have put that anywhere he liked.
Yeah, that was a proper drag down, that, wasn't it?
Carlson on 47, with Smale already reaching 50. Driven through the offside, just going to be a single this time, with Darrell doing the work out there. I am looking forward to watching him bat again. He had a good innings at Cardiff when he made 30, not out from 27 balls. So it wasn't the quickest, but he just played very measured. Short, left arm over. Short again, and worked down the ground for 1 by the right-handed batter, Kellaway.
Wonder whether Mason Crane will enjoy bowling on this pitch later on. He's had a good tournament.
As I said, similar to Cardiff dimensions-wise, so he should know what he's doing, as this one's pulled away by Carlson. Again, it's just going to be a single, so a good start from Darcy Short, and he might have just earned himself another. Got the wicket of Will Smale and just 5 from it, 109 for 1.
It's at half distance. Glamorgan still look well set for a big score. Certainly if Carlson stays. Now if they get to a position where you've got 2 new batters, there may be a little bit of a rebuild for a short period of time. But you know, 66 runs in the power play, and hasn't really slowed up all that much since.
We wish you a long, happy and well-deserved retirement. Thank you, Sean.
And big round of applause for former head groundsman Sean Williams, who is on the ground today, but prepared his last pitch for the international on Thursday. Kieran Carlson's got his half century with that single. 31 balls and 4 fours and 3 sixes for him. Van Buren to continue, and that's gone aerial into the gap on the offside. That will be 4 more. It's well placed. Van Buren can't plug all the gaps, and with a short extra, a deep, very square cover and a long off. It's an in-out field for the slow left armour. Callaway. Oops, that off his pads. They'll come through for 1. Matt Taylor does the fielding at short fine leg. So Van Buren's got 5 men out. Deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, and a deep cover. Plenty of gaps on the leg side for singles. Carlson goes straight down the ground with a lot of bottom hand. It's a good stop by Hammond. He's kept them down to a single, and his direct throw hits the stumps on 1 bounce.
They can sometimes be the worst ones for the fielding side when the run out isn't on, because you never know where the ball's going to ricochet to. But on that occasion, they were fortunate it didn't travel far.
Callaway waits for Van Buren. Well, that was fired in like a real dart that Van Buren can bowl on occasions, but Callaway's got it away for 1 to Darrell at deep square. At the moment, Van Buren and Short have been the most effective. That would have been a wide if that had been left, and Carlson's going for the sharp single, which is backed up by good running from Callaway. 1 more for the Glamorgan captain. He's still there, and he's got to be the glue for the innings now. Having set the base, he wouldn't want to give it away. Callaway's got a little bit of time to get his eye in alongside his captain, and Short's going to have another over from this end. 118 for 1, 9 overs to go. Could be talking 220, maybe more than 220 at this rate.
It all depends how Glamorgan keep their wickets in hand and how they approach the next few overs. And they approach it by Carlson sending 1 down the ground for 6 into the pavilion area. And Darcy Short's first ball of his 2nd over, slightly too full, and Carlson's not going to choose to miss out on that one with the shorter straight boundaries we've mentioned here at the Seat Unique.
Well, that's gone into an area which is populated by families down there. I hope there's nobody affected by that. It just proves that you have to watch every ball all the time. And the ball that followed it was almost a chance of a stumping.
He's not going to die wandering here. Carlson just works this one for a single, though. Bowlers with plenty in the tank for Gloucestershire because they've used so many options. Van Buren has 1 left, but all the others have at least 2. De Lange even has 3. As this one's down the ground again, this time from Callaway, and it's really well cut off by Phillips out there who's sub-fielding.
No, I suspect if Phillips is on the field, I suspect Milan is not. I don't know where Milan would. Let me see where Milan is, but he fielded for part of the game on Friday in place of Milan, so I would suspect.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
He is the one
scan
who's
around
gone
the
off.
ground. It does look like Milan would be at extra cover, wouldn't he? And Van Buren's there. Either way, that's what a subfielder's there for. Great work to keep it to 2. Kellaway looks to go over the offside. He splices it, but he gets a single out to deep cover because the field is so spread. Shorts come back well from the maximum on the first ball. 128 for 1 in just the 12th over, so another wicket could be handy for the Gloucesters as this one's up towards long on, but it's going to go over Jack Taylor, and another maximum to finish. So started with 1 and ended with 1, and another costly over for Gloucestershire, and it's 134 for 1 after just 12 overs.
16 off it. I mean, too many overs which have cost Gloucestershire in double digits. There have been some very expensive ones.
Massive congratulations to Gloucestershire women into the final.
There's the card with Carlton and Kellaway. Second wicket pair for Glamorgan. Only Will Smale dismissed, caught by Van Buren off short for 54. Jack Taylor now with a chat with DeLange, who's going to be brought back from the Ashley Down road end. 8 overs to go. Even 240 might be on for Glamorgan here, which would be a massive score to chase. DeLange in, cut away by Kellaway. Again, unerring in their finding of the gaps here. And the boundary, the thing is that the boundaries are totting up. They're not having to run lots of 2s to get this scoreboard running at this rate. Everything is going into a gap. And so you've had 6 6s and now 14 4s.
Well, there's value for your shots, isn't there? It's a rapid outfield because it has been so dry lately. So it should be same for both sides.
DeLange in again. Oh, Kellaway takes a different approach this time, goes across the line. And Hammond at deep mid wicket keeps them to a single.
There seemed to be a bit more on that one from DeLange. I think he just bent his back a little bit more after going for the boundary, as fast bowlers naturally do find that extra pace.
So Colson not far off to a ball here, and that's shot very fine. There is a fielder down on the boundary at third man, so Liam Scott will keep them down to a single. And Colson's got 100 already this season, isn't he, in the competition?
Yeah, towards the start of the competition. And again, he just came out and blitzed it from ball 1, really.
DeLange up, past umpire long. And that's 6 more. That's very short, and it's again this time it's Kellaway who's helped himself to a ball that's gone way back into that temporary seating. So if it's in the slot, it's going. If it's short, it's going. I know it's not the longest boundary to that corner of the ground, but the timing from these Glamorgan batters at the moment is proving effortless. And short comes in and doesn't quite gather a half chance at long on. He knew it was up. Well, you'd have to take very low down. And Kellaway just adds a further single. DeLange wide outside the off stump and signalled us very wide outside the off stump. He was trying to almost bowl a big off break there, it looked like, but got his angles a bit wrong. But for a side that apparently have preferred to chase, they certainly made hay on this very good Bristol pitch so far. De Lange in off the bottom of Carlson's bat up to mid-off, but he'll scuttle through for a single. Another over goes by, but 15 again off it. And Gloucestershire, in terms of their own chases this season, they've been, the biggest score they've been asked to chase is 204. Well, I think it's going to be well beyond that unless Glamorgan collapse in a heap.
Well, still to come is Ace of Tribe, Sean Dixon, Chris Cook, Jimmy Neesham, Dan Douthwaite have all had their moments with the bat in this competition in various games. So if they can have someone like Carlson for company going well, then there's every chance. Van Buren's going to bowl his 4th and final over from this Bristol Pavilion end now at 149 for 1. And Carlson slog sweeps. Darcy Short stands underneath it, but then watches it sail over his head. And Van Buren double teapots, because anything Gloucestershire seem to be sending down is going the distance. Carlson is in fine form, and Glamorgan pass 150.
I mean, interesting that here they batted first last year and got 189 for 6. I mean, they way past
real
that.
wide and stumped. It's well bowled from Van Buren, signalled as a wide, but saw Carlson coming, chucked it nearly off the strip, and Bracey, with quick hands, does the rest to take a much-needed 2nd wicket at 155 for 2 now. Carlson goes for 73, and it's nearly a no ball.
Yeah, he's just about got away with it. You could see exactly what the plan was, but Carlson goes for 73, and it's still a really good effort from the Glamorgan captain, who has set his team up here for a very big score. Chris Cook has come in at number 4, so a change in the order, but a very capable bat nonetheless. And Glamorgan can go chasing whatever they want from this position, can't they, really? They're running at almost 12, so if they maintain it, they're going to get to 240.
Yeah, Cook had a big innings up at Blackpool in the game where they play away outside of the central group against Lancashire. In the game that came down to the final ball, Cook scored, I think Glamorgan needed 40 off 11 balls or something, and Cook managed to see them home. He's come in at 4 here, which is above where he was on the scorecard originally, so a bit of experience to accompany the 22-year-old Ben Kellaway. Fellow 22-year-old Ace of Tribe has to wait his turn. As Cook sprays it through the offside, and it's a magnificent catch at extra cover. And going up the order doesn't work, because that is sensational from Dawud Malan, who's back on the pitch. And he's probably just about the only player who would have taken that catch, I'm sure. So what a decision that was for Van Buren to come back on. And what a catch that was from Dawud Malan.
One-handed, it's a proper grab. Those just stick, don't they, if it's your day. And Malan pulling out an important wicket for Gloucestershire. They're going to have to try and work their way through this Glamorgan order in the next 6 overs if they're going to put the brake on at all. And here is Tribe batting at number 5. So Van Buren, in his 4 overs, this is his last over, has been as effective as anybody. And how many of the 6s has he conceded? There have been 8 6s, and he's conceded only 1.
He's been the pick, hasn't he? 2 for 30. He's got 3 balls left of his spell, which in comparison is pretty good. So Tribe facing up and can't get it out to long off. Van Buren with fire in his belly now, very energetic to field off his own bowling. Tribe had some time with England Lions already in the winter and the start of this summer, and played some franchise cricket as well as being picked up in the 100 for this year. So he's a good player as this one's chucked wide and he's towed it out snooker cue style. 2 extra cover, takes a single to get himself off the mark. Van Buren's nearly finished a very impressive 4-over spell here. And with 6 to go, Gloucestershire does just free up their options a bit more now. With Carlson out of the way, they can bowl almost anyone they like. As Kellaway drives a full toss to Taylor, who's working well to keep it to 1. So Gloucestershire, momentum not with them, but it's swinging as it's now 158 for 3. And another couple of wickets might just keep them down to that kind of 200, 210 mark if they are lucky.
Well, Tribe got 63 not out here in the corresponding game last year. Graham Van Buren's figures 2 for 32 at the end of his spell. So Gloucestershire now probably will go back to the seamers for the last 6 overs. There are plenty of options. Taylor's got 2 left, Scott's got 2 left, Galanga's got 2 left. Hayes has only bowled 1 over.
6 overs remaining. Glamorgan 158
Matt Taylor
for 3. Change of bowling, number 36.
To return. 2 overs for 22 at the start.
I think this is a good decision. Bring your most experienced bowler back on, just as the tide might turn.
Kellaway to face. That's 6 more. That's gone away into that stand at deep square, and that's the shot that Taylor has been conceding his 6s to. It's nothing to do with the offside. He's just bowling really straight, and Glamorgan getting across far enough, and then literally good pick up and clearing this probably 80 yards to the rope on that side of the ground. Even with Darawal, a tall man, literally, well, he's behind the rope when the bowler bowls, but he's comes into the field of play now, and that's almost a Yorker for Matt Taylor. He goes up to his brother and the shy at the bowler's end, doesn't hit. Darawal's backing up, and they'll just get 1. Is Kellaway somebody? I mean, I think he did try 1 reverse sweep almost to the first or second ball he'd faced. Is he fairly orthodox in his approach to his batting, would you say?
Yeah, generally against seam, he does tend to like to sweep and reverse and paddles, any kind of word you want for it, against the slower bowlers, but against seam, he's generally orthodox.
Tribe waits for Matt Taylor. That's cut off the back foot. He's punched that away. He's got past Milan. That will race away through extra cover for 4. There's a gap past Milan, which the sweeper isn't covering. And this is an expensive return from Matt Taylor at the moment. Is it poor execution of the right plan or the wrong plan? That's the question that I think they're asking a bit at Worcester on Friday when they had a late acceleration. Gloucestershire certainly can't afford that again as Tribe picks up a single down to deep backward point.
It was something I brought up earlier because the field is set for, I don't know what ball, because he's got a deep point in front of square, just in front, and then he's got a deep backward point, almost like a wide deep third, but then he's got 3 deep on the leg side, 1 at long on deep mid wicket and deep backward square.
Taylor stays over the wicket. Kellaway off the back foot, up again to Taylor at mid-off again. He misses at the direct hit attempt at the bowler's end, backed up by Scott.
So do you see what I mean, Ian? Like, you can generally tell the length he's trying to bowl, because naturally you'd want to keep it away from the slot with the short straight boundaries anyway, but his line, he's got a field set for, I don't know where he's trying to bowl.
There'll be a few club players on weekends who would have fields like this on the basis that they weren't sure which way it was coming out. That's 4 more. And it's boundary ball after boundary ball at the moment. And Gloucestershire can't stop this torrent of runs that Glamorgan are picking up. So Matt Taylor's return, again expensive, 17 off the over, and it's 175 with 5 to go. I mean, they are going to get something that's going to be very hard to chase on this. Even on a really good pitch.
2 wickets for 32 runs. Change of bowling at the Bristol billionaire number 10, Jack Taylor.
It all could collapse in a horrible heap if they're not careful.
Well, even 10 and over from here is 225, which at just 3 down and going at 11.67, as the scorecard on your stream tells you. 10 and over from here, I think Gloucestershire would be happy with. Jack Taylor's going to come back on. He went for 15 in his sole over so far. And Kellaway using his feet but didn't get to the pitch of the ball. Takes a single.
I wonder what Carlson thought a good... When he was out there, I'm sure he would be thinking, I wonder what a good score is on here. Even from this point.
Tribe giving himself room and then flat batting down the ground with power. He's a strong man, as Ace of Tribe. He's another very orthodox player, though. He just shapes up like a proper old-fashioned cricketer. Real talent. Kellaway flat bats it straight, and he's going to get it for 6. I think just creeping over the rope, and it's gone into that family area. Once again, a bit short from Taylor, and Kellaway just rocked back and flat batted it dead straight. And there's that boundary ball again, Ian.
Yeah, and this is clearly a very good pitch.
Or fuller this time. Kellaway still able to rock back, and that's a sign of a good pitch when you can just trust yourself to rock back off that length. Couldn't work it through the field though. I'm sure 200 is what Carlson would have been thinking as par. They have batted well against some poor bowling at times, but it is a good deck. Up and over the offside. Darrell Wall's got work to do and does well. Oh, it's Van Buren out there this time actually, sorry. And it's 2 to Kellaway.
So Glamorgan have got really Crane and Kellaway as their 2 spinners, but Carlson could bowl some off spin, couldn't he? If they really wanted to take pace off.
Well, Tribe is generally the 3rd spinner if they go for it, as Kellaway swings himself for a leg by. So Taylor back into the attack, goes for 10 off his bowling, 11 total for the over, 186 for 3 with 4 to go.
There have been 10 sixes in this Glamorgan innings, and that's 10 balls that are going to make a massive difference. And there's the worm. I mean, the rate has been steady. It's not as if there've been a couple of big overs. There've been too many that have had 12s and 13s, and that's why Gloucestershire's chances of getting a home quarter-final are going to rest with a very, very strong batting performance.
But even with all the boundaries, all it takes is for one player to get going, as we've seen. Gloucestershire got plenty of firepower themselves.
Hayes into the attack and starts with a wide. That's the off stump.
When you've got Darwood Milan and Darcy Short and Miles Hammond do at 50 in the reverse fixture at Cardiff, and Darrell Wall.
You can't with a score of this magnitude. You've just got to go like from first gear to overdrive straight away. That's where it's difficult. Hayes in. Well, that's gone a long way from Kellaway. 6 more up towards the apartments. It went a long way up, but it went plenty far enough. It was wide, probably 2 sets of stumps wide, to be fair. But those in the front rows were watching to see if they were going to catch it.
This is now Kellaway's best score in the competition this year, so again saving it for a game of no importance, but he has batted well and quick as well.
She's fourth six. Hayes will try again. Oh, clever. A scoop, but he's going to be caught. Slightly slower ball. And Kellaway tried to lift it over James Bracey. And Bracey on the retreat with a deft little touch, really, nothing more than that, takes the catch. So Kellaway is out. 47 he made, but that Glamorgan card has solid contributions from all of the top three, and when you do that, you give your opponents an awful lot to do, and that's what they've done. 193 for 4 in the 17th, and Kellaway say 47 off only 22 balls, which is a fine effort. The strike rate of all the top three for Glamorgan today, 182, 192 and 223. It's rapid.
But as the old adage goes, don't judge a pitch until both teams are batting on it. So I think Gloucestershire won't think they're out of this game. They'll know they've bowled poorly at times with too many boundary balls, but they'll know, albeit they will have to go from ball one, as you said, Ian. They have definitely got the firepower to chase anything down on a day like today with the sun baking the pitch, and it's a good surface and relatively short boundaries.
That's Sean Dixon, I think, has come out at number 6. Hayes with the bonus of a wicket. Sees his first ball driven up to mid-off, no run. It's a rare dot recently. I wonder what I think Jack Taylor might have preferred to chase today anyway, but he would not have wanted this sort of level of score on the board. Dixon waits and Hayes falls on outside the off stump, which he scoops carefully, very studiously away over short fine leg and down to the boundary in front of the top office for another 4. Every ball with Hayes is an effort ball, isn't it? It doesn't bowl much that's short, it's length or fuller. And perhaps that's where the batters know they can just go through the line on a pitch like this. And if he does drop one a little bit shorter, then yeah, that sort of paddle is very much into play with fine leg up. Hayes again, that's another wide outside the off stump, over compensation.
And that's something there's been a few of as well. What's that, the 7th wide now?
Yeah. There have been games with more than that, but in good discipline is to keep the wides really down as low as you can. Hayes hadn't played any T20 at Notts before he came here, so this is kind of new for him, but that's cleanly hit. And Dixon doesn't take long to get into his stride. That's a way over long off for Sean Dixon. The 200 is up for Glamorgan. Again, it's just through the line, isn't it? Pick the line, go through it with a very orthodox swing of the bat, and Glamorgan's 200 is up. Still 3 overs to go. Slightly slower ball, goes the same way. Bit straighter this time, and only for 4. So Dixon spotted that James Hayes was trying to go with the slower ball, but he picked it, and one bounce only over the rope. So Hayes' figure's taking a hammering in that over. Again, 22 off it, and he's bowled 2 overs for 44, James Hayes. There are the Gloucestershire bowling figures. Van Buren's really a beacon amongst the rest. And with 3 overs to go, unsurprisingly, they've got to turn to spin again, because it looks as if only Van Buren and Darcy Short have exerted any kind of control.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a good sign for what's to come, because Mason Crane and Ben Kellaway, as you mentioned, will probably enjoy bowling on it if that's the case. The seamers have just got it wrong on 2 times at least every over, it seems. This one's worked up for 1, but Tribe won't mind that because Dixon has got off to a quick start, 14 from 4. He's had a good campaign. He's been a good signing for Glamorgan, who have now passed their highest score of the competition this year. Had scored 200 twice before, both in run chases that they achieved on the last ball. That against Somerset away and against Lancashire away. That game at Blackpool I mentioned earlier. But as I said, Gloucestershire won't rule themselves out just yet, as Bracey and Short discuss plans in between deliveries. Left arm over, sweeping, and there's a fielder out there for that. Just look at the overs of what's to come. 2 overs after this, so Liam Scott, Matt Taylor, they could go anywhere they like, really. Marchant de Lange. I doubt they'd go back to Hayes. Short and swatted leg side, and that's raced like a bullet to the boundary from Tribe. He picked his gap early and managed to pierce it through. 2 fielders converging, had no chance.
I think a lot of Gloucestershire supporters were perhaps not surprised that Richard Dawson had the impact he had at Glamorgan last year, taking them up. And he will know this ground as well as anybody. There's another wicket coming here.
Well held by Cameron Darrowall. Tribe was already halfway off when the ball went up in the air. Short gets himself another. Tribe looking to go back over Short's head. Just doesn't get all of it, and Darrowall is calm and composed underneath it to hold the catch, and another wicket for Gloucestershire. Just stems the flow slightly, and in a game that's all about momentum, they'll take anything they can get at this stage.
Yeah, I suspect, and unless somebody can pull out an innings like Darrowall had at Worcester on Friday, they're going to be very, very hard pressed to chase this. Yes, they've lost a couple of cheap wickets at the end, but just too many boundary balls, I'm afraid. It's almost been 2. You said 2 and over. I think that's about right, Blake. And they've been 12 sixes as well. I know that it's a good pitch and the boundaries short at both ends of the ground. Are enticing compared to the one square, but we've seen some big square boundary hits as well, particularly to bowling from the Ashley Down Road end on the leg side into the temporary stand. Virtually nothing has gone in the air the other way, interestingly.
Left-handed Neesham then, as it goes down the ground first ball. Work to do for Jack Taylor, who does well and has kept it to 1. Neesham sent back because the work was good from the captain, leading by example. Neesham, the only left-hander in this Glamorgan batting lineup, the New Zealander, of course, international. Been around the block, not quite had the impact at Glamorgan he would have liked. Has he played here? He's played for just about every other county, I think.
Not played at Gloucestershire.
Short and slow, and Dixon just plays it out to long off for just 1. So Short does have the impact Gloucestershire would have hoped. Coming back into the attack, goes for just 8, which at this context of the game is a good over, and got the wicket of Tribe as well. 216 for 5.
Yeah, it's just a couple of kind of benchmarks to show that the Morgan really have maintained the rate right through. They were 66 for no wicket at the end of the power play. They were 109 for 1 at halfway. So they've just about doubled the score in the last 8 overs. And now Jack Taylor's got to find the last 2 from somebody.
5 to be bowled by number 90.
At least, I suppose there's a small confidence that you haven't got somebody who's got 90 who really could open up and throw themselves into everything in the last 2 overs. But Dixon and Neesham perfectly capable of doing that, even though they haven't had much strike as yet. De Lange will bowl the last but 1 over. I suspect might mean the MATCHDAY will bowl the last, but that's not a given on a day like this when the ball's been flying into all parts. And field changes. Darrell's coming up inside the circle at square leg, and Matt Taylor going back onto the long leg boundary. So former Somerset and Kent man Dixon with a sweep off his pads, and that will beat Darrell, and that will go away for 4 more. De Lange can't believe it. He probably thinks I've nearly yorked him, and he's whipped it away. It's gone past the fielder, and if anything, what we've noticed today, and it shows the pace of the outfield, if it beats the fielder in the circle, it's 4. There's virtually nothing that's been cut off. It's got past the infield at all.
Yeah, the boundary riders have mainly just been for show, haven't they? When it's been in the gap, there's been no chance of cutting it off.
Third man is up. De Lange, and again to Dixon, who flat bats that like a tennis smash outside off stump, and they will take 2. It's good running. Hammond out in front of the mound stand. That scoreboard with all the details on it of a really, really big total being set by Glamorgan.
Rather timely a tennis smash with the Wimbledon gentlemen's singles final today.
Yeah, 4 o'clock start, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Sinner and Zverev, isn't it?
Yes. I say that slightly hesitantly. I've only had half an eye on Wimbledon. De Lange in the penultimate over. Bowls! Dixon. Well, it's happened in the end, but it's taken an awfully long time. Finally, a Yorker gets through, but the damage has been done by those above him. Dixon out for 22. Glamorgan perhaps just being checked a little at the end, but they've got so many on the board already. They're still going to give Gloucestershire an awful lot to do. So let's ask the question from a Glamorgan point of view then, Blake. Where are Gloucestershire going to get their runs from out of the Glamorgan attack?
Well, good question. Glamorgan bowlers have had a tendency to be expensive. Jimmy Neesham has gone at about 10 and over throughout this competition. Nathan McAndrew is probably the strike bowler, I'd say, of the seamers, but he has been expensive at times, as has Dan Douthwaite. I would say don't try go after Mason Crane as much as it's enticing to go after the leg spinner. I think seam is where it will run away.
Dan Douthwaite's the new batter, and he tries to pull a ball from De Lange, which he gets nothing on, and taken by James Bracey.
And if Gloucestershire are really fortunate, they might just get an over of Ace of Tribe to divulge into. It has been an experiment they've tried a couple of times.
De Lange from the Ashley Down Road end, and that's bunted back by Douthwaite. Hits the stumps at the non-striker's end, but without a touch from De Lange. And therefore it is Neesham and Douthwaite now who are trying to negotiate these last 7 balls for Glamorgan, but fair play to those above them. Carlson 73, Smale was first out 54, Kellaway 47. I mean, even Dixon's 22 and he took 9 balls. Tribe made 16. But there's been a lot of big hitting by Glamorgan. I was listening to the game at Derby on Friday, where an Aaron Donald, I think, made 63 out of the first 68 runs. And Derbyshire had a big chase on. Now, when the thing was, he wasn't first out, but I think his partner only made one when Anderson was out. But that's the sort of striking you've got to talk about here. And De Lange finishes with a short ball, which Neesham can't get anything on. So his work with the ball is done for the day. He's finished with 1 for 31 from his 3 overs. And the last over will be bowled by Matt Taylor, who's gone for 39 from his 3 at the moment. And Glamorgan, 223 for 6 with an over to go. They're going to be well above anything that Gloucestershire have had to chase on this ground so far this season.
Dalfoot is quite an unorthodox player as well. The way he scores unusually. He has a lot of kind of tennis smash type shots as well, flat bats. So it'd be interesting to see what Gloucestershire do in the final over. Matt Taylor, of course, has had an off day, it'd be fair to say, but he is a player of great talent and experience. Player of the match in the last final. Short and swatted leg side is going to not quite carry to the fielder at deep square leg. It just died on him slightly towards the end. I think it's De Lange out there.
And I think he is the most honest man, and he will have known that didn't carry. Sometimes fielders don't always know whether it's carried or not, but he absolutely would know if it was on the half, which it was just about.
He hung in the air a long time. It looked like he was well set under it, but it did just die on him, and he's apologetic for it, but in the end, it's a good stop. Probably saved 3 runs as the left-handed Neesham is now brought on to strike. Slower ball, swung away, and is going to get 4. Fine leg up in the circle, deep backward square. No chance of getting to it, and it just races away again. Offline from Taylor, and Neesham just helps it away.
Yeah, probably the biggest lesson, I would say, for the Glamorgan bowlers will be about the line they bowl on this pitch. Because clearly the bounce is very true, the outfield's very fast, and they've got to be more accurate than Gloucestershire have been.
Wide outside off stump, slash and 4 more. Well, sometimes you have to ride your luck. You're probably not going to waste a man at deep third at this stage. And there's the other side to T20 cricket.
Taylor's bowled 2 balls, 1 each side of the wicket there, and that's, I know it's the last over, but you were saying about the field being set apparently for kind of what looked a slightly confused plan earlier on.
Where does he bowl this one? Wide outside off stump, slower, and heaved out to long on, and Short watches it well because it was coming at a nasty length, flat. It's just a single. But I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Ian, as well. When Glamorgan come to bowl, they should just look to bowl one side of the wicket. If you're going to leak runs, at least let it leak one side. Don't find yourself scattered, because that's when the runs can flow quickly, and that's precisely what's happened in this innings. 2-3-3 for 6 2 balls left, 10 so far in the over. Swung leg side, and this one is going to be caught, and is caught at deep mid wicket. Douthwaite, the next man to go, swinging into the leg side, comfortably held, coming in off the rope.
Miles Hammond with the catch.
Miles Hammond just trying to work out who that was. Douthwaite goes for 2. Miles Hammond holds on nicely, and with 1 ball to go, Glamorgan 233 for 7.
So there has been a little bit of a clatter of wickets in the last 4 overs, but Glamorgan's so far ahead of the game at that point you would feel that it's not made a massive amount of difference.
New for Glamorgan, number 43, Nathan McAndrew.
So McAndrew coming out to take the last ball with Neesham at the other end, and Matt Taylor, Lisa's going to have one wicket against his very expensive analysis at the end of this Glamorgan innings.
Interestingly, Nathan McAndrew was called out as number 43, and that's what he has been on all the scorecards in every game, but he actually wears number 0. So, I mean, make of that what you will, wearing number 0. I can't say I'm all for it, but Nathan McAndrew obviously likes it, and he's going to face the final ball of this Glamorgan innings. Slower ball on the pads and not timed, but they're going to come back for 2 with deep backward square coming round. Jimmy Neesham thinks about coming back for 3, but Nathan McAndrew would be well short. So a double to complete the innings, and an expensive one for Matt Taylor and for Gloucestershire. 235 for 7 with 12 runs coming off that final over.
Well, Gloucestershire have not scored this many in an innings in the T20 at any point this season. They got 217 at Leeds, and they were chasing 204 at Warwickshire, where they lost by 30. So it is asking a lot. A lot will depend on the likes of Milan and Short at the top of the order. Somebody maybe has got to play I'll call it a Darrowell type innings from Friday. That's the sort of thing which will be necessary. But the Glamorgan card, with contributions right down it, particularly at the top, where Carlson was stumped by Bracey Van Buren for 73. Smale caught by Van Buren of Short for 54. Kellaway caught by Bracey off Hayes 47. Cook caught by Milan off Van Buren, second ball for naught. Tribe caught Darrell bowled short 16. Dixon bowled by DeLange for 22, and Douthwaite caught by Hammond off Matt Taylor for 2. Neesham not out 10, McAndrew not out 2. There were 9 extras. 235 for 7. Matt Taylor 1 for 51 from 4. Scott 2 overs for 21. DeLange 3 overs 1 for 31. Hayes 2 overs 1 for 44. Van Buren 4 overs 2 for 32. A beacon compared to the other figures. Jack Taylor 2 overs for 25, and Short 3 overs 2 for 25. All you can say is it's been a pummeling, Blake, for the bowlers, and somehow Gloucestershire have got to try and match it, albeit on a very, very good Bristol pitch.
It is a good Bristol pitch, and Gloucestershire have just got to come out in the same way in which Glamorgan did, and that was attack from ball 1. It is Darwin Milan and Darcy Short's natural game to come out and look to score quickly up top. Miles Hammond had a good innings in the reverse fixture, 56 from 31 at Cardiff. He'll need something similar today, albeit probably at a slightly higher strike rate even. And then with Liam Scott, Jack Taylor, Cameron Darrowell, James Bracey, plenty in that top 7, but it will need to be one that gets off to a quick start. Glamorgan's power play was 66 unbeaten and 109 for 1 at the halfway stage. So if Gloucestershire are going to chase us down, they'll need to keep themselves in the contest as long as possible.
Yeah, and a final stat before we just take a brief break for the innings between the two sides batting. There were 160 runs in boundaries in that Glamorgan innings in 4s or 6s. That's a big percentage. We'll be back with you in about 7 or 8 minutes time for Gloucestershire's chase of this 236 to beat Glamorgan here in the last group game of the T20 here in Bristol.
Thanks for your support so far today in the gorgeous sunshine here in Bristol. 236 is the target to win the seven-side derby. And we've got a derby in the Apple Roll as well. Thatchers will give a crate of Thatchers Gold to the winners of today's Apple race. So let me introduce the two teams. On the furthest part of the outfield in front of the mountain stand, representing England, we have from London, we've got Sam in the England shirts. Give him a wave, Sam, yes. One or two boos there. Johnny is his teammates, both of them have gone barefoot. Looking at their footwear collection, that was a smart decision. So, let's have a look on the infield here then, Freddie. Who have we got? We've got Matt, and celebrating his 30th birthday today, wearing a Wales bucket hat. Happy birthday, Steph! Happy Wales holiday, yeah. England versus Wales, yeah. Obviously not a fixture at the World Cup, sadly. Never mind. All right, good luck. We've got, who have we got first? We've got Steph taking the first leg, and we've got John taking the first leg here. Good luck, guys. In 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, final countdown. Great tune. England versus Wales then, who are you backing? Bit of a cross breeze, not helpful for our contestants, but a pretty good first leg so far. Big thanks to our cricketers helping out, putting themselves in the line of fire. Here's the goal in one changeover. It's smooth from both sides. It's neck and neck between England and Wales. Here we go. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Sam? Is it going to be Matt? He's lost his hat, but he's not lost his dignity. But mighty here because England are cruising to victory, and it's a big win for England. The apple's gone flying. It's gone into the dugout. Many congratulations, guys. You're all friends, so it's all fine. Let's get you in. Johnny, how was that, mate?
Loved it. Loved every second and never a doubt.
Representing your country as well, always a proud moment, I imagine.
Very much so. About time, I think.
About time, yeah. Let's get Sam in. Got the England shirt. Didn't lose your hat as well. What's that? Haddock's Cricket Club. Something fishy about that. It's Steph's hat. Is it? Oh, right, nice. Very nice. What do you want to say to your friends from Wales? And obviously Steph's birthday today. Do you want to wish him a happy birthday or not?
Yeah, I mean, it was birthday yesterday. So if it's happened yesterday, maybe I'm late for it, but today, sorry. Happy birthday.
And Victory, did you watch the England game last night?
We did, yeah. Steph watched it too and cheered along.
That's good to hear. We're all friends, really. We're all friends. Of course he did. Many congratulations, guys. You win a case of Thatchers Gold. We'll give you the token. You can collect it later on. Thanks for playing. Much appreciated. Thanks, guys. Please welcome back match umpires Nigel Long and Ben Pembrell. Led out by their captain, Kieran Carlson. Please welcome visitors, Glamorgan. Here we go, the Gloucestershire only batters, number 29, David Milan, and number 62, Darcy Short.
Welcome back to the Seat Unique, where Gloucestershire need the little matter of 236 to beat Glamorgan in this last group game in the Vitality Blast. Should also tell you that in the women's T20 Tier 2 final between the same two teams, Glamorgan are batting and they are 10 without loss in the second over. That after Gloucestershire won the semi-final earlier today against Kent by 66 runs. So, interestingly, Glamorgan are going to start, by the looks of it, with Ben Callaway.
Yeah, it has been something that Glamorgan have looked to do quite a lot in this competition so far. Open with Ben Callaway. They actually opened with Ben Callaway and Asa Tribe last week in one game. So looking to get spinning early and potentially make an impact straight away.
Here's Callaway then with the first ball, and it's just pushed out by Short into the offside. So remember, the 236 is the target. If you didn't catch the news earlier, Brendan McCullum has been sacked as England's test coach as well. Busy cricket day one way on the other. Short has got Gloucestershire off the mark. Second ball with a single down to deep square. Return taken on the half volley by Cook as a slip in. Sean Dixon is there for the two left-handers who opened for Gloucestershire, Milan and Short. Milan, 398th T20 match. Astonishing number. Callaway around the wicket to him, and he's forced that away through the offside. That will go for four. It's beaten the dive of Douthwaite, and Gloucestershire's first boundary off the third ball. Milan is clearly a talented bat. I mean, he got 91 not out on his debut, but that was a different sort of innings. That was in a lower total for a start. You've got to find another 40 runs on that. Yeah, he's got to really be aggressive from the beginning. Just dinks a single into the leg side. And they'll take one to a easy bit of fielding for Jimmy Neesham. He's at mid-on. So Callaway's got four on the offside, saving one and a slip. And Short backs away and can't pierce the field. And to your point, Blake, it's about bowling one side of the wicket.
Yeah, I think so. Callaway obviously turning the ball away from the left-hander as well, which is probably why they look to open with him. Got a packed offside.
Callaway again. That's a bit more leg stump line, and Short can work that away to Mason Crane. Tidy first over. No drama from Callaway, only 7 off it. And the Gloucestershire starting, needing, as near as makes no odds, 12 and over. And that's to win a game that would give them almost certainly a home quarter-final. But from this position, you'd have to say the odds look like they're going to be going somewhere. Who knows where, frankly, at this point on Wednesday in the last 8. McAndrew going to bowl the first over from this Bristol Pavilion end. He had a good season at Sussex last year, didn't he? That's probably why Glamorgan wanted him.
Yeah, he took 11 wickets in 2 T20s against Glamorgan. He had a 6-fer and a 5-fer, so I think that might be why they snapped him up. Obviously, Sussex got their issues going on. And I'm going to risk sounding ridiculous here, but Gloucestershire are ahead of where Glamorgan were at this stage. Glamorgan took just 5 off the first over. Nathan McAndrew going right arm around the wicket. And first ball is in the middle of the pitch, and it's pulled for 6 by Darcy Shaw. That was quite a friendly delivery from the Australian to his compatriot, and Darcy Shaw helps himself.
Yes, the biggest thing you can say about this pitch is that it's been full of runs on Thursday, it's been full of runs today, and the biggest thing about it is the bounce, because the batters can clearly trust the bounce. If it's short, it will sit up, and if it's on a length, you can play through the line.
He comes back again after getting the ball checked. This time, better area, and jabbed to mid-on, can't take a run as he wants to change field, waving in deep backward point, sending back deep mid-wicket. So he's obviously going to try bowl into the pads and attack the stumps as much as he can. And basically for Glamorgan to win this game is to bowl to their plans better than Gloucestershire did. And there it is on the hip of Short, who works a single into the leg side. To come for Gloucestershire, Miles Hammond, Liam Scott, Jack Taylor, Cameron Darrowell, James Bracey, and then you're into the lower order. I won't say tail enders because Graham Van Buren, absolutely no mug with the bat. Matt Taylor, who got Gloucestershire over the line in the reverse fixture, 18 not out from 9 balls on that day, including the thick outside edge for 4. And then James Hayes and Marshant DeLanger, less said about them, the better. But plenty of batters for Gloucestershire who are capable of getting the job done. As another quick single is taken in the leg side.
But, you know, with respect, reasonable discipline for Glamorgan. They should have plenty in the tank here, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
they really should.
They got 235. I mean, that's more than, you know, 99 times out of 100, that is more than enough runs. Either
collectively they've got to bowl poorly, or 1 or 2 have got to bowl really poorly, and somebody has got to play a real whirlwind innings.
Full and driven through the offside from Short, and well, we spoke about it at the end of the first innings. If it gets through the ring, you may as well give up, because it goes like a bullet, and that one did to the rope. McAndrew just bowling slightly too full, and Short is going to miss out.
I think your point, Blake, about almost thinking if it's 2 boundaries and over, that's what Gloucestershire need. That's what they were giving away. That's what they've got to target in their riposte.
Down the ground, nicely played from Darcy Short. Just flicked through mid-on, and well, there is another boundary. So he picked up 3 in this over, an expensive start for Nathan McAndrew, taken apart by fellow Australian Darcy Short, and Gloucestershire after 2 overs are 23 without loss.
And they've got to keep that up. There's no letting up, no cheap overs where you've only got 4 or 5 singles being taken. Can't be too many of those. Douthwaite's doing some limbering up.
And one thing Gloucestershire could do is make Glamorgan mix up their bowlers in the power play, because today they're playing Andy Gorvin as opposed to Tim van der Gugten. He won't bowl in the power play. Tim van der Gugten would have. So their power play options are limited between Kellaway, McAndrew, and probably Douthwaite, and that's it.
Kellaway to continue here, and that's through the gap from Milan. That's where Glamorgan were good, picking gaps that really were quite small in the field. If Glamorgan have got 5 on the offside, saving 1, and Milan still found a gap, and that raced away to the boundary at extra cover. Callaway to continue. Milan this time over the top. 4 more. 2 bounces. And it's early days, but this is what these two, in essence, when you pay for your really experienced batters, be they overseas or in Milan's case domestic, this is the situation where you want them to turn up when you're really facing a big score in an important game. See what they want to deliver for you. Milan again finds a gap, but there's a man out now on the boundary at deep cover. There might even be Gorvin out there, and they'll just take one. Gloucestershire 32 for no wicket, only in the 3rd over. Sounds good until you realise how many they're chasing. Scott goes for Shortwater goes for a sharp single to Neesham, and that didn't miss by much until by Neesham's reaction. He thought that was pretty close to a direct hit at the bowler's end, but Short got home.
Short had to take a long way round there as well. I think Callaway was just slightly in his way trying to field the ball off his own bowling, and then Short had to go round him and was probably out if a direct hit.
Callaway staying around the wicket. Milan just dabs that into the offside and takes one. It's got to be an even pace, this response, you would think. They can't get left in the blocks, Gloucestershire. Callaway with one that just is nicked by Short. It goes racing away down to the boundary at 3rd man. Again, that wasn't a deliberate dab. That was attempted to play a forcing shot. Got a thin edge, and away it went. But 4 more and 15 off the over, so it's 38 for no wicket. And we're going to see Douthwaite introduced, just as Blake said he might be, pretty early in this power play.
Well, it's the start Gloucestershire would have wanted, and at Sapphire Gardens, Gloucestershire have got the start they would have wanted there, because Glamorgan are 26 for 2. Charlie Phillips, who was star with the ball in the first game, she got the wicket of Lauren Parfitt, who's the top run scorer in the competition, and Daisy Jeans, who's a dangerous batter. She's been run out. So Gloucestershire women, who have never beat Glamorgan since the formation of the tier structure last year, might do it when it matters most today. Dan Douthwaite from the Bristol Pavilion end, running away from us. Approaching Darwin Milan. First ball's a slower ball, and they take a quick single with relative ease in the offside. Just on the Gloucestershire women as well, that they have been improved this year as well, haven't they? And last year they did suffer some heavy defeats at times, but even just, you know, if you're looking at the benchmark as playing against top of the league, their games against Glamorgan this year have been a lot tighter than they were last year. Yeah,
and in fact, I would go as far as to say they improved last season from the beginning to the end, and that's gone up another level this time.
Dabbed into the offside again, and Douthwaite with a nice start, bowling to a set plan. Obviously not going to bowl too full. His natural length is generally a bit shorter anyway. His strong man bustles in, doesn't bowl a great pace, but does hit the deck hard. Just 2 singles to start 40 without loss. Gloucestershire with a good start. Oh, down the leg side, that's not where you'd want to bowl. He has got the deep backward square and deep cover. We can't quite tell the line Mason Crane is on, but I think it's relatively square. So
yeah, he's just in front of square, I think.
Yeah, so Douthwaite will look to, if he's going to get hit through the infield, he'll want it to be off a ball that's relatively back for length, and he can bowl either side of the wicket with the field he has. Coming over the wicket. This one mistimed. Milan back to Douthwaite.
Interesting. He'd be a different pace to any of the other Gloucestershire seamers. I would think that Hayes, DeLanger, and Matt Taylor are all quicker than him. Whereas he's a proper medium pacer, if that makes sense.
And he comes. Swing across the line short. Milan rather. Thought he could pick it up over mid-wicket. But misses out. And a good start for Douthwaite. Yeah, he is. He's quicker than the other Glamorgan medium pacer by a considerable margin as well, Andy Gorvin, who in white ball bowls almost exclusively cutters with the keeper up, whereas Douthwaite, although he does utilise a slow ball, his stock ball is probably in the mid to late 70 region.
Extra man out on the leg side.
And he bowls short, and it's pulled into that leg side. Good spot, Ian, as Kellaway does the work for just one. One ball to go in the over, and Gloucestershire could do with a boundary if they're going to keep the momentum up. And needing 12 and over. You can't afford to have many overs without boundaries. And another change.
Yeah, I think I'm putting a long on back. Neesham's going onto the rope, and Scraddick's coming up inside the circle.
So will it be full or is it the bluff? It's full outside off stump and short, looks round, disappointed, and some of the Gloucestershire fans are disappointed as well as the umpire judges it to be inside the line or on the line maybe. Nonetheless, it's a dot, and Gloucestershire are 42 without loss, taking just 4 from the 4th.
That's a good over from Douthwaite. So bowling at a different pace to what we said to the Gloucestershire bowlers. So now, first sighting of Jimmy Neesham. So McAndrew had 1 over at the start, which was expensive. Kellaway's bowled 2 overs of his off spin from that Ashley Down Road end. We're now going to see Neesham for the first time. Still within the power play, the field relatively well spread. No close catches. 4 on the offside, saving 1. Neesham goes round the wicket, and that's in the air and over the infield from David Milan. He'll get 2. There is a boundary rider on the offside in front of that temporary stand, which was constructed for the international. I should also say too, and this may develop as the innings goes on, that Gloucestershire batting order is pretty flexible. We saw Cook come in early for Glamorgan. Gloucestershire could push Darrell or Jack Taylor up the order if that was necessary. Here is Neesham, right arm around the wicket, and a thin edge up before more. Not sure Milan meant it to go there, but it will say 4 in the book, and he will take it, a thickish edge, down to the vacant third man boundary.
No ball as well, signalled. So they're going to have a free swing inside the power play, which, when you're chasing 236, is something you would be very grateful for.
Didn't Neesham bowl a no ball at Edgbaston on Friday?
Yeah, I think pretty much cost Glamorgan the game.
So here is the free hit, and it's very short. And Milan asks whether that should be a no ball as well, and umpire Long says no, that's one for the over. Milan can't believe that.
Well, I think he's got a good point. I think it's gone over his head, which would make it a wide, and I think it's down the leg side, which would make it a wide. Unless they're saying it passed over Milan's shoulder, but I think it was higher than that. Neesham's got away with 1.
Milan has to park that and concentrate on the next one, which he just dabs into the onside for a single. So 50 up, and the 5th over. On any other day, you'd say that's a good start. And it's in isolation, it is. But you have to contextualise it against what they're chasing. And they're just about where they need to be at the moment. But that's with the field up, of course. Gorvin just jumping up and down on the spot at short fine leg. He may not be long before he's into the attack. Neesham coming over the wicket to short. Very nearly Yorks him. It's a good late defensive shot from short to dig that out.
Yeah, I might expect another over from Douthwaite from the Bristol Pavilion end to finish the power play, and then you're looking at Gorvin and Crane.
And you'd think Crane would bowl from this pavilion end, wouldn't you, with the shorter straight the slightly shorter straight boundary towards the apartments.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine Gorvin and Crane might take the majority of the post power play overs.
Neesham into short, who squeezes that away past point for 4. That was an adaptive shot if ever you saw it. A very important boundary for Gloucestershire in that over, which isn't complete yet, but they needed a boundary in it, and they've got one now, and there's still a ball left.
Yeah, Short's done well to get it away for 4, but what I would come back to is both sides of the wicket talk again, because he's got everyone up in the offside and he's bowled that outside off stump.
Neesham to short, full toss down the ground, that'll be 4 more. So from Gloucestershire's point of view, they got out of that over well with 2 boundaries off the last 2 balls, and Glamorgan will be less than delighted with the conclusion to that over from Jimmy Neesham. And Gloucestershire 58 for no wicket off 5. At this point, Glamorgan was 61 for no wicket. So at this stage, not a lot in it. Worth saying that Crane took 4 wickets in the corresponding match last year, and he has had a good season in both this format and in the Championship.
Yeah, he has.
He is the key bowler, you would think.
Absolutely. And 2 for 16 in the reverse up at over the bridge in Cardiff.
And McAndrew is going to bowl the last over of the power play.
Yeah, so Douthwaite off after just 4 from his over. McAndrew, who's gone for 16, starts with a single into the leg side. And this over, you'd think, is a bit of a free swing for Gloucestershire. Of course, that they would like to leave the power play with Short and Milan still there, but if there was a time to try to set your mark, it would be in the power play.
Milan just signalled to the dressing room for something. Well, that was a drink or a change of gloves, I don't know. Whatever it was, it only happened at the end of the over.
Round the wicket, Short, and not timed, but he's got it straight as Short. Rather bizarre way to get a boundary for it to go over McAndrew's head. It looked like he came off towards the stickers of the bat, but he's still raced away for 4. Mid on and mid off, not going to stand a chance on this ground to chase that one. And there's one of the boundaries in the over.
We've seen a lot of straight hits today, both off front foot and back. The ball has finally been retrieved. There was one hit in the last home game here, which went literally, we're on the 3rd floor, and it was going up when it went past us. It went a very, very long way.
Oh, it was full, and Short looks to go straight again. He might feel like he missed out there, but it might have been an extra yard on that from McAndrew, as all pacers do when they go for a boundary.
That's hit him on the foot as well, and he's felt that on his back leg.
Well, he has taken a liking to McAndrew so far, Darcy Short, who's 35 from 18 deliveries, going along nicely, and these two could do with replicating Glamorgan's openers, Carlson and Smale, who put on 105. Up in the air, could be caught at extra cover, and is. from Kieran Carlson. Darcy Short has to go, found the splice of the bat, looking to go up and over the offside, and can only make it as far as extra cover. Short has to go for 35.
Well, it's the right pace of innings from Darcy Short, but it's not really long enough, you wouldn't have thought, for Gloucestershire. He departs for 35. One hopes that they haven't fixed a flight for him to go back to Australia on Monday, and that he can be around for the quarter-final, wherever it may be played. And Miles Hammond comes out at number 3, and here is somebody who clearly can put bat to ball really well, but he's had a very patchy T20 campaign. Miles Hammond made 56 in the reverse fixture, but that's his only real contribution. He got a 30, unbeaten 30 against Northampton, a game that Gloucestershire lost, but he's got to show a bit more continuity in his batting than we've seen in the last half a dozen games or so.
So would you say that he needs to go, as all the batters incoming would have to do, from ball 1, or can he afford to play support to Dawood Malan at this stage?
Hammond, he can go from ball 1. It doesn't seem to affect him whether he needs to play himself in or not.
Well, we'll see the approach he takes here, because McAndrews round the wicket and gets it through the gap. At first it looked like he picked out mid-wicket perfectly, but he's got it away from him to his right hand side and through the gap. Just a short arm jab and start with a boundary. That'll fill his confidence.
I know I might be struggling on a year here, but there was a game against Somerset, a shortened game, where I think he opened, took 20 off the first over, might have been more than that, and then got out. And you think, well, hang on a minute, you've just struck like 3 4s and a 6 something in the first over, and then got out afterwards. So he can go right from the start, and he probably needs to here.
Athletic work from Kieran Carlson to ensure a dot to finish the over, but 2 boundaries in it once more, which is, as we have mentioned and will probably continue to mention, is what Gloucestershire need repeatedly. 67 for 1 after the power play.
So now probably the key element of the whole match, certainly of the second inning, Mason Crane, Glamorgan's test leg spinner, also played a little bit of T20 international cricket, just a couple of games, but has proved to be a really good signing from Hampshire. And I don't think Gloucestershire is, of course, for the left-handers, it's like playing an off-spinner. So can Alan and Hammond make anything of Crane's leg spin? Or fierce throw as they try and take a single off the first ball, which they've managed to do, but that was a fierce throw from Carlson, which didn't hit at the non-striker's end. It was backed up and Milan took 1. So now Hammond, perhaps he's going to be the real attacker here, even though he's not been in for very long. Crane bowling in glasses, bowls to Hammond, and that's punched into the ground, partially stopped by Crane, deflects it past the stumps off his own bowling, and they get 1. Good job. That didn't hit. I think Milan would have been short if that had been deflected onto the stumps at the bowler's end. Crane bounces in, and Milan will just take a single out on the offside. I just wonder whether Gloucestershire can afford almost to bat around Crane. I don't think they can. You can't have 4 relatively economical overs from him and hope to get the runs from elsewhere. I think that would be too risky.
No, if you look at the Glamorgan innings, Van Buren was the most economical
Crane again. Reverse sweep from Hammond. That could be out. In the deep, tumbling catch and taken by Douthwaite. He's gone for the reverse and picked out the fielder at what would have been deep point. It's a well-judged catch. He's gone to ground afterwards, but it's a big wicket for Mason Crane, and Hammond departs, trying to keep the run rate up, and it's 70 for 2. And Gloucestershire are juggling the order here because Jack Taylor's coming in at number 4.
I think that was a predetermined plan from Glamorgan, because I noticed with Dawud Malan they had the fielder on the offside boundary more like a cover. When Hammond came on to strike, he moved to more a deep point. So whether they had that in mind, the reverse or not, I'm not sure. But either way, it's worked. Just to come back to the point I was making before that wicket fell, was Glamorgan took Van Buren for 32, and he was comfortably the most economical bowler, so that's 8 and over. They can't afford to let Crane go for anything less, really.
No, and his impact has been immediate with a second Gloucestershire wicket going down. So if Taylor's batting at 4, depending on how long he's there for, I wonder if Darrell might be in at 5, because they just need something explosive here to get them into a position where at least they're making Glamorgan think they have a chance. Crane to Taylor, who beats him up, genuinely beats him outside the off stump.
He's a tough player to bowl to as well, because he scores in rather unorthodox ways, doesn't he? He's a very talented batter and a hard striker of the cricket ball.
But only the one left-hander left now for Glamorgan to deal with. That is Malan, who's out there. So it's more awkward when you, for all the right-handers playing against Crane. So at the end of a decent over him, only 3 off it, 4 off it, in fact. 71 for 2. And Gloucestershire now behind, literally on the over-by-over comparison. Not much, but enough. Andy Gorvin to be introduced for the first time into the attack here at the Seat Unique Stadium in this last game in the group stages of the Vitality Blast. If Gloucestershire do come up short here, then they will have to wait until the evening matches tonight to find out where they finish in the seedings.
Changing ball in for Glamorgan, number 11, Andy Gorvin.
And as you said, Blake, when Gorvin comes on to bowl, Cook is stood up.
Yep, shuffles in, and first ball's out to long on. So he's medium pacer, very different bowler to the rest, and very different bowler to himself between red ball cricket and white ball cricket. He has 2 different run-ups. He approaches the crease in a different way with the red ball to the white ball, and in the white ball he bowls a lot of slower deliveries. Very rarely will bowl his orthodox medium pace of around 72, 73 mile an hour, which is where his point of difference lies. He's going over the wicket to the left-handed Malan, who plays out to extra cover as throw comes fired in. And there's 1 taken.
Even from our position, high on the 3rd floor of the pavilion, there just looked to be just a little bit of shape on that last delivery from Gorvin.
There's a good view from here, isn't it? Right behind the bowler's arm, effectively running away from us from the Bristol pavilion end. And Taylor, with his high backswing, plays out to long on. Not timing it as yet, because you certainly know when Jack Taylor times the ball.
Gorvin bowls straight with long on and long off back. Then you're basically saying, right, come on then, clear. You've got to clear the ropes if you're going to get any runs off me.
His key will be his length. And that one's too full, and it's into the leg side for 4. Swung away from Dawud Malan, and there's the boundary in the over that Gloucestershire would need. Just slightly over pitch from Andy Gorvin. Not easy on a good batting wicket with short straight boundaries. He's generally someone who looks to take his wickets, caught long on, long off. He can't get too full. And there's a single.
I think these new groups in the T20 have created a lot of doubt on this last weekend. There are a lot of teams still in with a chance of going through, and the two cross-pool games have made the fixtures up, obviously.
Swung leg side, behind square from Taylor, just helping it on its way, and gets another boundary, his first in his innings, and concludes Gorvin's over. 83 for 2 after 8 overs.
Yeah, Gloucestershire do with a big over before half distance here, just to feel as if they're still in with a chance. Glamorgan got to their 200 in the 17th over. So that's give you an idea where Gloucestershire need to get to. Crane is to continue. And they got 235 for 7 in their 20 overs. Crane from the Ashley Down Road end to Milan. There's a big gap on the leg side. He's got long on, long off both out, but hard to get 2 down to that end of the ground because it's a slightly shorter boundary. And even if the field's got ground to make up, the ball's travelling so fast that it's probably only ever one. Massive gap on the leg side if Taylor is going to go across a play against the spin. He's going to go straight down the ground. In fact, he'll pick up 6. I don't think he intended it to go exactly where it went, but he got enough on it, and a little bit of a loopy trajectory of shot goes into the sight screen for 6 runs.
Yeah, that was rather unlike Jack Taylor, who normally gets it going like a flat tracer bullet, but who takes 6 nonetheless.
Crane. I think he was crossing. The music hadn't stopped as he was on his way in. That's why he turned around and went back to his mark. That's short and punched away into the offside. And attempted to throw at the bowlers and again misses. Haven't seen anything so far today hit the stumps in terms of attempted run-outs. Taylor picks up 1 more. So Milan 35 off 22.
And he's the one Gloucestershire are now looking at to make that match-winning 80, 100.
5-4 so far. And he's gone way too long off here for another single. Yes, can he bat through, and can there be enough aggression at the other end? That's the point, I suppose.
Score runs but don't get out.
Well, Jack Taylor waits for Crane and goes down the ground again. That's flat once more, and it will be 4. Attempted dive from the fielder at long off, couldn't haul the ball in. He's hurt himself in trying to stop that as well. Come back to Blake's theory of Jack Taylor powering the ball off in quite a flat trajectory. That was quite flat. It's a bruised ego down from that fielder at long on, apart from anything else. And Taylor thinks, and he's out. He's been given out by the umpire. What a curious dismissal. He's clipped it onto the gloves of Cook, and Cook has then retreated and caught it at the second attempt, and the Gloucestershire captain has to go. 18 for Jack Taylor, brisk, but again not long enough. And wickets are good currency for Glamorgan with so many runs in the bank, and Gloucestershire are 3 down.
It was curious. just ricocheted up off Cook's glove. Did well to take the catch at the second attempt, but Taylor looked disappointed in the decision. And Cam Darawal is being promoted to number 5 from the original 6 he was listed as on the scorecard. Fresh off the back of that 13-ball half-century, of course, as you've alluded to earlier, Ian.
It would be utterly remarkable if he could produce something of that ilk. Again, different dimensions here at Bristol. A lot of the 6s at Worcester were, if you know the ground, towards the side with the ladies' pavilion on, with the pitch quite a long way on the square towards that side. So, but what Gloucestershire can't afford for him is for him to depart quickly, because then their chances would look very slim. Milan's taking a fresh guard. Douthwaite's coming back. And halfway, Glamorgan were 109 for 1 after 10 overs. So Gloucestershire, crucially, 2 wickets further lost, aside from anything else. Milan wants 2 here, and he will get it. That's a good bit of running. Darawal, those long strides get him up and down the pitch pretty quickly.
As you said, Ian, Darawal needs to stay there to support Milan, even if it's not bringing the firepower that we've seen from him, because you don't want to be 4 down inside the first 10. That's going to dampen your hopes from the off.
Milan. Oh, that's gone high in the air. That could be out. Carlson's trying to get to it, and he won't quite reach it. And Milan, I think, realises he hasn't got very much longer before he needs to really go through the gears. It could easily have been gobbled up, but it just dropped safe. And now Darawal to face his first delivery. Again, they've left a massive gap on the leg side, so encouraging Douthwaite to bowl outside the off stump. Short, and Darawal's got a top edge on that, and it's going to go 4-4. So he's not going to have a look, Cam Darawal, by the looks of it. So the 100's up with a very streaky top edge, and 100 up in the 10th.
That's about where they need to be, isn't it?
Well, roughly, yes. That was the thing about the Glamorganese. You didn't feel they were riding their luck much at any point. Whereas at the moment, Gloucestershire just feel as if they're straining every sinew just to try and stay in the game. Darawal waits. That's, again, into the gap in the outfield to allow the sweeper from the cover boundary to come in. And he'll take 1.
One big partnership is what they need. If you look at Glamorgan's, they had 105 for the first wicket and then 51 for the second. And from there, it's just a couple of 20s. So Gloucestershire had that 63-run opening partnership. If they can have one between these 2, or for the next wicket at least, they're in contention.
Douthwaite to Milan. Oh, that's off the toe end of the bat. It was a snooker shot off the cue ender. But that's where he wanted to put it. There's playing the shot that he would have wanted to play with towards the club office. Wide, long on to the left of Jimmy Neesham. But didn't get enough on it. He's conscious of deliveries ticking away here, and Milan goes trying to hoik Douthwaite into that gap on the leg side, and that really is scoreboard pressure, apart from anything else. There's Cook's celebration. Milan is cross that he's missed the ball that's knocked his off stump back, but he goes for 39, and Gloucestershire are 104 for 4 after 10 overs.
Yeah, scoreboard pressure precisely. An over that, in the context of the game, going for 8 is a good over for Glamorgan. So Milan knew he needed a boundary to finish and just couldn't find that shot he was rehearsing. James Bracey's coming in. Makes me wonder, is Liam Scott got an issue, I wonder, because he was down to bat 4. You did mention, Ian, that there might be some flexibility, but to drop him right down to 7 would be unusual, to say the least. 104 for 4 is the score. The players departed: Darcy Short for 35, Miles Hammond for 5, Jack Taylor for 18, and now Dawood Milan for 39. So what Gloucestershire needed, one batter to go on to make a match-winning 70 or 80. And thus far, it's been starts and out.
Here's Crane to continue to Darawal. Fires that out towards the boundary at the Manstand side of the ground in front of the scoreboard. And the spectators on that side of the ground have not seen a lot of explosive hitting today. Everything's gone the other way. Or straight.
We're relatively central on the square as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's the international pitch. It's about as central as it gets. So at least Bracey now offers the right-left-hand combination. He's looking around, batting deep in his crease as well against Crane. Fully tossed up, and Bracey will pick up a comfortable single. That means Glamorgan are absolutely fine with that. It's about the boundary balls, isn't it?
I suppose that might have been the reason why Bracey's come in ahead of Scott, because Milan was the dismissed batter, keeps the left-hander at the crease, maybe.
Darawal waits for Crane. Oh, that's gone down the ground. That's gone a very long way. 6 runs up towards the apartments. It went a long way up, truthfully, a lot further up than I'd thought originally. And the fielder on the rope, but because of the angle it came down, unable to take the catch. That's the Nisham right on the rope there. So Darawal deciding that it's going to need a one-man attack again from him. Crane's a canny bowler though. And that's squeezed out to Gorvin at short third for a single. I think what we have learned from Cameron Darawal in this competition is that he can hit a very, very long ball.
His bat speed is remarkable, isn't it? It swings through the ball very naturally.
Bracey waits for Crane from the Ashdown Road end. Little dab from him and a single. I was talking to somebody on the way in today who said he watched him play for Bristol Cricket Club at Dumbleton. I think it was last season. And he got 140. And people were looking around and saying, right, you know, who's this lad? We need to make a note of his name. And obviously he's gone on to make his way into the Gloucestershire first team while still doing his medicine studies at Bristol. Single to him this time. Out to deep point. Darrell will keep the strike. 115 for 4 off 11. Gloucestershire are only 3 runs behind where Glamorgan were at this point, but there were some expensive overs to come. A 16 and a 22 in particular, and a 16, a 17 and a 22 in particular. So somewhere Gloucestershire have got to find those overs to keep them into some sort of contention. It's a bit of a bits and pieces card, as you can see on your screen.
Glamorgan sticking with Dan Douthwaite, who's been the pick so far, 1 for 12 from 2 overs. That big wicket of Dawood Milan to conclude his last over. And then he comes away from us at the Bristol Pavilion end. Short and slow as Darawal adjusted to last moment and comes back for 2 because he didn't time his shot out to deep mid wicket. The larger boundary. Enabled him to come back.
Douthwaite isn't going to offer anything that he can, drive or punch down the ground, is he? You don't think?
No, he'll be looking to land it somewhere in the middle of the pitch. And this tennis, four-handed or smashed, whichever you'd prefer, down to long on. Could have potentially left that one for a wide, Darrell.
That's the one for the over, says umpire Peveril.
Well, you know, you can't go too short then, at least from now on, Bracey. But even so, I'm not sure how much stuff you're going to get in the slot, as particularly now long off is coming up. Deep third is going back, and there's a couple deep on the leg side as well. Pulled and in the gap, 4 runs. Fielders didn't move. Bracey was onto it quickly and pulled beautifully for 4.
Yeah, there's a massive gap on that leg side. You've got a deep backward square, a straightish mid-wicket on the rope and a long on, but you can't cover all the gaps. There's nobody inside the circle. And Bracey literally split those two fielders.
This one is Fuller and driven through the offside, but there's the deep cover protection in front of where the majority of Gloucestershire supporters are sat in their yellow shirts. They must be attracting, like the Thunderblights or something in bright colours. Good crowd here at Bristol. Hopefully there's some support over the bridge in Cardiff as well, with the women's Vitality Blast Tier 2 final going on against Glamorgan. I'll give you an update of that score at the end of the over. Full and driven. Single to Darrell, who's accumulating nicely. Yet to see the lusty blows of what we saw at Worcester on Friday, but 18 from 9 is still no slouch of an innings to start, but it's about kicking on here. In fact, Jack Taylor made exactly 18 from 9 balls, so Darrell can just kick on, keep Gloucestershire in contention as long as they possibly can. Final ball of the over. And they're going to work for 2 here because it's weighted to land on the edge of the 30-yard circle, and it is good running to get to. Carlson is quick across the ground, but even he can prevent that. So 11 from the Douthwaite over. It's 126 for 4. Still needing 110 from 8 overs.
I mean, that's still a mind-boggling number, isn't it? 110 off 8 to win the game. So somewhere there's got to be maybe a couple of overs that cost 20 to give Gloucestershire some kind of a feeling that they can still do this.
Just before Crane starts a new over, Glamorgan women are 124 for 4 in the 15th over. Bethan Gammon is 52 not out. Wickets for Charlie Phillips and Liv Daniels.
This is Crane's last over. Darrell goes straight down the ground. That's 6. Don't bother chasing that. That's gone onto the first floor of the flats. In fact, it's hit, I think, one of the floors outside the flat window, and it's bounced back. Umpire might want to have a look at the ball. Right, Cameron. 1 out of 1. What's he got? What's Crane got as a follow-up? Goes wider. And Darrell asks about a wide. It's not given. Obviously, if he pushes, Crane does push it a little bit wider. Darrell chases it. There's more risk.
That's his get-out ball. Generally, Crane try hide it out there.
Slashed away, but there is a fielder on the deep cover boundary, so just a single. But when you start the over with a 6, it gives you a bit of a leg up for the rest of it. Darrell to 25. What can Bracey do? He's batted a lot in this competition so far. That's swept and past the fielder are going for the catch, and it's gone for 4. Dixon trying to reach it at deep backward square, and he got very close to doing so. Here's a second look at it. He's right on the half volley. It's one of those ones that he might have been tempted just to go for the stop rather than the catch, but he gambled, and as a result, Gloucestershire get the boundary.
Crane was disappointed there. It gave Dixon a bit of a dirty look. Felt he should have taken that or at least prevented the boundary. Did neither.
Bracey again. He goes straight down the ground. That's a 6 as well. So this is a profitable over at the moment for Gloucestershire. Crane's last. And Bracey again going to that straight short boundary. For those watching from the apartments, I know there was a game last year where a spectator on an apartment balcony actually caught the ball. And the challenge then for the local media was to try and find him. Crane swings himself a catch. Bracey waits for the former Hampshire and England bowler, and Bracey chops it out for a single. So an expensive final over for Crane. 2 for 46 he's finished with, and 144 for 4 off 13, so 18 off the over. That's the kind of number that Gloucestershire need. Comparatively, they're still there or thereabouts with the Glamorgan total, but somebody has got to really take some punishment from the Glamorgan attack if Gloucestershire are to keep in this. Kellaway's coming back.
Yeah, first look of spin from the Bristol pavilion end. 92 from 42. The equation needed, as you can see on your live stream. Ben Kellaway will bowl right arm around the wicket. Still no sight of the Ben Kellaway left arm orthodox. Not sure why he's not opted to use that this year, but he has looked good with his off breaks so far this season. With both white and red balls. 0 for 22 at the moment. Starts with a single to Bracey, as this partnership is just forming nicely. 41 it's now worth in not much time. Just adjusting his field for the right-handed Darawal. And down the ground, but didn't get to the pitch, so adjusts to just play out for a single. Looks a mature batter, doesn't he?
At 21 he does.
21, yeah. He was Hampshire's books, wasn't he, before coming to Bristol Uni, so he was aware as a reverse sweeps attempted from Bracey. Cook whips the bells off, but is not out. His foot didn't move.
Yeah, played his club cricket in the South of England Premier League at a club in Winchester.
Pulled by Bracey. It's just going to be one. One thing I do like about that league is Hampshire Academy play in it, don't they? They play at the
nursery ground at
the nursery ground, yeah. And they generally perform pretty well in that league, I think, which gives under 18 players a chance at senior men's cricket at a high standard from a young age. This one swatted through the offside, nicely timed from Darawal, just one. Kellaway's had a good start to his return, 4 runs from 5 deliveries. If he can get out of the over without a boundary, Glamorgan will feel that's another small win coming their way. These two need to keep occupying the crease if Gloucestershire are going to stand a chance. And it's swung down the ground, long off, settles under Ace of Tribe, just in front of the rope, throws it back in and takes the catch. The umpire was watching it all the way, and they're happy for James Bracey to walk off. Good catch from Ace of Tribe, close to the rope, and Bracey, with pressure against him, just 4 off the over, looking for the big shot, and he has to go.
Yeah, Tribe knew exactly what he was doing there. It wasn't as if he was badly off balance, but just did the simple thing by flicking the ball back in the air to allow himself to regain his footing securely. And Bracey has to go. Van Buren in at number 7. We don't know why Scott has not batted earlier than this. It's a curious one.
New batter for Gloucestershire.
Graham Van Buren hit an important little 16 not out on Friday, but it looks like it's going to be Darrowell against the Glamorgan bowlers from here if Gloucestershire are going to get anywhere close. That was the end of Kellaway's over. 3 overs, 1 for 26 he's bowled. And Gorvin to return, this time from the Ashley Down Road end with the keeper standing up, so be a slightly different problem for Darrowell. Gorvin bowls pretty straight, and that's brilliantly caught by Carlson. And now Darrowell goes as well. Gorvin's picked up his wicket, and Glamorgan have got, you feel, a victorious grip on this game. Clipped it away, hit it well enough, but Carlson's pulled out a fine catch, as good a one as Milan took earlier in the day. And Darrowell's heroics can't be replicated from Friday. He's out for 27, and it's 148 for 6. And Gloucestershire, remember, chasing 236 to win, and the time and the wickets column is now both against them.
Consecutive balls bringing wickets for Glamorgan. The final delivery of the Kellaway over, now the first of the Gorvin over. And Liam Scott does now come in at number 8. We're not sure why he's been held back so long, but now he will have a chance to make an impact on this game. Bowled just 2 overs, 0 for 21 in the power play. But now the overseas star has got a chance with the bat to give Gloucestershire any chance they have, needing 88 in just 5.5 overs.
Off the mark straight away. He'll want 2, but he won't get 2. It's a good return to the bowler's end. He's not batting with a runner, so unless there was, say, some kind of an injury which they've wanted to treat in some way. We're not aware of one. Van Buren waits for Gorvin. That's chopped away. Again out to Dixon, who is on the point boundary. 150 up. Gloucester are batting first with this score. He'd be talking about them occupying the crease and making sure they didn't miss out on batting the full 20 overs. But here they've got an awful lot to do. One more to Scott, again out to that boundary rider on the leg side.
It goes without saying now that these two need to be there at the end if they're going to win.
I would feel yes, that's right. Gorvin to Van Buren. Is that a wide? Yes, it is given as such. Only the second wide Glamorgan have bowled. There have been a couple that might be there or thereabouts. There was that strange one that Milan, that short ball that Milan couldn't believe was not given as a wide. But yes, nobody yet getting past 40. It's been a series of starts and getting out. And these two have probably both got to get 40 if Gloucestershire are going to win from here. Only 5 overs left after this next delivery. And at the moment, it looks like Glamorgan are going to have about somewhere between 30 and 40 runs as a buffer, I think, Blake. Gloucestershire will do well to even get to 200 from where we are at the moment.
Well, another good over for Glamorgan. Gorvin went for just 5 there, so 200. It's 47 runs away with 5 wickets in hand, and as you say, if it was 200 the target, then we would have a good run chase on. But as it is, Glamorgan went way past that. 235 they managed, thanks to 73 from Kieran Carlson, 54 from Will Smale, and 47 from Ben Kellaway. To go over a couple of cameos, Kellaway is going to finish off his 4 overs, flighting one outside off stump to start for a single. And he's bowled well as well. Went for 22 in his 2 power play overs, but then just 5 from the previous. As this one's up in the air, it's going to be a chance for Corn Bowl. Backpedaling is Kellaway, takes it comfortably, and Scott is now the next to go. Looking to clear the boundary straight, just found a top edge, and he goes for 2.
He's not moving that freely as he walks off, Liam Scott, but Glamorgan just squeezing bit by bit their way through the Gloucestershire order, and I'm afraid that the damage was done in the first innings, and one might argue even in, I go back as far as say in the power play, the first innings, to get 66 without loss on a good pitch at the outset. Glamorgan just kept going, and they've got far too many here for Gloucestershire today, and it means that Gloucestershire will have to wait to find out where they must go in the quarterfinals of the T20 on Wednesday. Matches, of course, going on with staggered times this afternoon and 2 games tonight as well, which perhaps have got the more relevant ones when it turns to their potential opponents.
Worked in the leg side by new batter Matt Taylor. Just going to get 1. And the damage was done with the bat in the first innings. Gloucestershire didn't bowl particularly well. There was too many boundary balls. And although they've gone at over 10 and over here, Glamorgan have just got wickets at key times. I think that's the tale in short.
And actually, I go back further than that point. I don't think there was a single chance that you'd say Gloucestershire dropped in that Glamorgan innings either. It wasn't as if that drop was expensive. They just weren't any.
I would agree with that. There was Carlson whacking one back at Van Buren, wasn't there? Which is one of those, it either sticks or it doesn't. But I mean, I wouldn't even call that a chance. I think Van Buren saved 4, if anything. So it was just one of those days, perhaps, for the side with the bat and the side with the ball. This one is another single. So Kellaway, in his 3rd over, went for just 4, and in his final over, goes for just 5, and gets a wicket in each of them as well. 158 for 7, and 4 overs to go.
2 for 31 he's finished with, which is really good. Crane was a little bit expensive, only in his last over, but Glamorgan have got this game exactly where they want it. They've got only 4 overs to go, plenty of bowling options, plenty of runs in the bank as a buffer, and they're going to win this quite comfortably. And Gloucestershire will have to sit down and plan for an away quarter-final on Wednesday. Van Buren trying to at least give the crowd a little bit of something to cheer at the end. It's a good stop out there from Kellaway. He's pulled that to deep mid-wicket, and he'll only get 2. It's a very good stop. Kellaway's had a good game. Bat and ball in the field. Gorvin to continue from the Ashley Down Road end. Van Buren will just have a single this time out to Carlson, the Glamorgan captain. Gorvin into Matt Taylor, who tries to carve that down the ground and misses. Remember, at the moment, when this game is over, you can continue to watch the women's T20 Tier 2 final at Cardiff between Glamorgan and Gloucestershire. That started at 4 o'clock. So they're probably coming to the end of the first innings there. Matt Taylor hits that in the air off the back foot, and he'll try and come back for 2, which he'll be able to get. Dixon is way on the boundary in front of the mound stand. We'll update you on that score at the end of the over. Gorvin to Matt Taylor. He gets that on the bottom of his bat up to long off for a single. Gloucestershire beating Kent in that women's semi-final earlier today by 66 runs, so a convincing win to get to the final, but then Glamorgan would have started as favourites there. Gorvin outside the off stump, that's hit into the ground by Van Beeren, down towards long off, and they'll pick up 1. So a quiet enough over from a Glamorgan point of view, 165 for 7 with 3 overs to go. Meanwhile, Blake at Cardiff.
Heading into the final over, Glamorgan are 148 for 5. Beth Gammon is still there, 67 not out. She's top scorer. Megan Sturge got 36. For a Gloucestershire perspective, Charlie Phillips, who started with the ball in the semi-final, has taken 3 for 25, and Liv Daniels has taken 1 wicket, 1 for 30, and the other wicket was a run out. So Gloucestershire scored 159 for 5 in their semi-final, and it looks like they could be chasing something similar in the final if they want to be the Tier 2 Vitality Blast champions. Dan Douthwaite coming back on for his final over, 1 for 23 so far. Starts with a full delivery on leg stump, which is whipped into the leg side. Just going to be 2. Asa Tribe does the fielding. And something that didn't stop through the Glamorgan innings was boundaries flowing at a consistent rate, which has happened here.
Yes, Darrell tried to keep the run rate up literally by not going for too many singles, just dealing in boundaries, but I'll do the comparative numbers in a minute.
Full outside off stump, and again driven out to long off rather, and a single is taken once more. And Glamorgan have just got their hands on the game when it has mattered. They've bowled in areas where they know they've got protection, and that's where the difference has lied. Oh, short, slower ball. Could be a chance of a catch. Not going to reach Will Smale at backward point, and they take a single. It's not the quickest to move is Will Smale, from watching him regularly. And Douthwaite was a little bit.
So at the moment, the number of runs from boundaries in the Glamorgan innings 160. The number of runs from boundaries in the Gloucestershire innings 98, with a little over 2 overs to go. So it's quite a big difference.
Douthwaite driven back at him, and just about gets himself out of the way of what could have been a nasty accident, because it was struck firmly back by Matt Taylor, who gets himself a boundary. And that is the first boundary for 4 overs.
It's felt like a while since Darrell was out. Bracey and Darrell out of successive deliveries.
172 for 7, putting up a fight as much as they can, Gloucestershire. Short pulled leg side straight to deep mid wicket. Can't find the gap on this occasion.
Yeah, so only 5 sixes in this Gloucestershire innings. Glamorgan hit 12, so
that's a 42 run difference, isn't it? Just in 6s alone. And that could end up being what the margin is, roughly, as we're in the 18th. 63 needed. And bowled through Matt Taylor. It was well up there, looking to go straight. And Dan Douthwaite finds the base of off stump. Matt Taylor, next man to go, 173 for 8. He goes for 10.
Yeah, Gloucestershire might get bowled out here, but there's no benefit in just hanging around. The net run rate might take a bit of a dent as well here overall, if the margin ends up being of the order of 50 runs, albeit it's, I say, the net run rate difference is spread across the 12 matches, so but it won't help. Almost certain you would feel now that they're going to finish third in the central group.
So an away quarter-final, looks likely.
Almost inevitable, I would have thought, from here. Galvin to bowl the 19th over. That's whipped away, and it will go for 6. Van Buren going to probably the shortest boundary. Away to that side of the ground. The apartment buildings just pull that playing area in a bit. Van Buren to 23. A little dab. And there could be a run out here. De Lange has made his way to go for the single, and he's been run out. Didn't turn very quickly, Marchant De Lange there. And the throw coming in from Will Smale, and De Lange has to make his way back to the pavilion.
Marchant De Lange was run out by Will Smale.
Although he thought there was going to be a call there or not, he was halfway down. Van Buren hadn't gone anywhere, and the 9th wicket goes.
Well, a mix-up like that is kind of inevitable in these positions. They're stuck in that, still trying to half-heartedly go for it, while also looking to bat the time, and Marchant De Lange just got stuck. Will Smale didn't make it easy for Andy Galvin, threw it on the half volley back to him, but it was well gathered and calmly composed from the Glamorgan bowler.
So James Hayes in at number 11. Van Buren still on strike. Galvin to him. That's clipped in the air, and it might go for 4. It will go for 4. Away on the Kennington Avenue side of the ground. I don't think there was an awful lot of effort, to be fair, from those two fielders on the boundary riders there to stop that. Maybe they know the game is just about up. Galvin, this scuttling run into Van Buren, who carves that away to Dixon, who gets his throw in quickly and he'll just get a single. So James Hayes hasn't batted in this competition until today. So this is his first innings in T20 cricket. And Cook asks about a stumping first ball. Umpire says not. Didn't have a very happy day with the ball today. And the fact he's behind De Lange perhaps suggests that he doesn't have any great pretensions as a batter. Galvin to bowl to him. This is the 19th over. He tries a little, almost like a leg break, it looked like. And Hayes bunts it out on the leg side and they don't take a run. It's the end of the over. Van Buren said he wanted the strike. 185 for 9, 1 over to go. And Glamorgan are going to win this very comfortably. They've had some close finishes in this tournament this year. I think 3 off the last ball and 1 off the last but 1 ball. But this one's going to be the most convincing result for them. Neesham will bowl the last over, and Blake Pink will take you through it.
There's been some thrillers between these two sides over the last couple of years as well, hasn't there? I recall Gorvin being sent for 6 by Josh Shaw in this competition. I believe that was here last season.
That was Cardiff last season,
That
I
was
think.
at Cardiff. There was also in the red ball the 590 all tie. As this one is sent straight up in the air, and this will be that. Caught by Chris Cook, and Van Buren goes for 28. Gloucestershire are dismissed by Jimmy Neesham, taking the last wicket for 185. So exactly 50 runs is the margin. And while there have been some thrillers over the last couple of years between these two sides, the only thrilling thing about it today was Glamorgan's power in the first innings.
Yeah, you can't argue with a board that says Glamorgan 235 for 7 and Gloucestershire bowled out for 185. The visitors from over the bridge have been too good today. Their batting was relentlessly powerful. It was very well placed as well. If they were trying to pick the gaps, they did so, and they also cleared the rope on no fewer than 12 occasions. Carlson and Smale got them off to a marvellous start. 66 without loss in the power play. A century opening stand it ended up as. The Gloucestershire chipped away after that, but Kellaway still made 47, Smale 54 and Carlson 73 at the top of the order, and then some bits and pieces further down, including a 9-ball 22 from Sean Dixon. Van Buren took 2 for 32, a wicket each for Hayes, DeLanger and Matt Taylor, and 2 for Darcy Short as well. But all of the bowlers, apart from Van Buren, really were too expensive, and Glamorgan had a massive total in the bank. It put Gloucestershire under immediate pressure. 63 put on between Short and Malan at the top of the order, but it was only bits and pieces thereafter. Short made 35, Malan 39. There were 3 scores in the 20s, but Glamorgan just found a wicket when they needed one. They were shared out 2 each for Kellaway, 2 for 31. Douthwaite 2 for 32, Crane 2 for 46. He bowled better than that. It's just his last over was expensive. McAndrew, Neesham and Gorvin each with a wicket as well. Glamorgan convincing winners and deserving winners today. Congratulations to them. They won't be going into the quarterfinals. Gloucestershire will, but we've no idea where it will be. It will be Wednesday. A lot of talk about the games being at 4:30. Hampshire already said quite openly that if they're drawn at home, they will play at 4:30. Whatever the time is, we do know it's Wednesday. It will be covered live on the stream by our opponents, and there will be either a stream commentary or BBC commentary with it, depending on who it is. Blake, thanks for your company today and your knowledge of Glamorgan. It's been invaluable. Glamorgan have won 5 of the last 8 completed matches against Gloucestershire before today. That is now 6 out of 9. They have a good record against them, particularly here in Bristol. And they've won today by 50 runs. Thanks for your company. Thanks for all the work on the cameras from James and the team. Do look out for details on social media later on tonight about where Gloucestershire head on Wednesday in the quarterfinals of the T20. And also, if you're looking to travel and support the team, the start time, widely reported that 4:30 is being considered by just about everybody to avoid a clash with the England football semi-final. We'll see you on the stream again for that game. That will be, provided by our opponents. Meanwhile, for the rest of the afternoon or the next hour or so, you can follow the Gloucestershire women in their T20 final on the stream, also against Glamorgan in Cardiff. That game is just about at the mid-innings break. Gloucestershire having beaten Kent this morning in the earlier game, and Glamorgan have finished on 154 for 6. So Gloucestershire will need 155 to win. Follow that on the stream and join us again here in Bristol for the start of the One Day Cup on the 26th of July. We'll see you again then.
So Thatcher's Bar and Kitchen remaining open. signing session set to take place in the Jessup room very shortly. Not the result we wanted today, but your support has been hugely appreciated. Not just today, but throughout the group stage. Good luck to the team in the quarterfinals on Wednesday, and hopefully securing another place in finals day at Edgbaston on Saturday. From all of us at Gloucestershire County Cricket Club, thank you sincerely for your support. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a safe journey home. We'll see you soon.